Bell haircut right now. We have the gorgeous Olaf Phillips. There he is, wearing his Mickey Mouse ears. Ben from UFO Garage. You know what he does before a show? He goes in front of the mirror and flexes. Brian Bowden, he's got 791 podcasts right now going. That's all he does is podcasts, and every one of them he does for free. Wow. And a new guy here for us. He's on Saga 960, same as us. We broadcast on that great station. He has a brand new wrestling radio show called Ringside Heat. Lex Tan is with us. Let's continue with the roll call here. We have the lovely and talented Tristan Stevens is back. Van Gogh, good to see you. Our Sprockets, thanks for coming on in. And who else do we have? Oh, there's Brian Bowden. And I think we're still caught up. Okay, we have 30 seconds, everyone, until we get the panel rocking and rolling. We get this thing moving. A good way to support this show is by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already on YouTube or Twitch or followed us on Twitter. Ed Clater, thank you for the super chat. And the super chat is a great way to support what we do as well. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Let's enjoy tonight, everyone, because here we go in 5 seconds. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We end each month looking back at the month that was with the SOR Roundtable. This is where I bring in a bunch of friends and we chat and yammer about all the weird and strange things that happened during the month of April. Tonight, we are joined by new Saturday host Lynn Wallington. She's our official witch as well. Olaf Phillips, who likes anything that's dark and black projects. Ben from UFO Garage, because Joe's power went out while he was literally flat ironing his beard. Lex Tan from Ringside Heat on Saga 960. And the man with 741 different podcasts, Brian Bowden. Now, our guests have no idea what the questions are going to be. This is an open forum. Everything they do is going to be off the cuff and off the top of their head. So, with that, we're going to get right into the UFO field here. Because, heck, why not? That's what we do, and we love some good UFO stuff around here. So, let's just get right into it. Gentlemen, lady, let's get into UFOs. Now, one of the big things that happened this month was that we saw a very large movement towards UFOs and disclosure. We're heating up to the 180 days where the United States government will allegedly give up the UFO files. And we're starting to see a little bit more. We saw Jeremy Corbell's video come up on Mystery Wire, which is co-owned with George Knapp. All right, we have government officials talking about this. The mainstream media is talking about this. This is a massive, massive topic this month. Now, Ben from UFO Garage, we're going to kick things off with you on this topic. Do you think we're getting closer? Because I'm starting to feel some real big excitement here.
Bubbles. That's all I'm going to say. It's bubbling up. I can feel it. Can you feel the energy happening, man? Like every day I open up my browser or Twitter or Facebook, some new articles coming out. It's constant. I mean, maybe it's just that I'm looking for it more often, but man, I mean, you mentioned the Jeremy Corbell's video. What was it? The New York Post just posted a huge article. Lou Elizondo has been in the news a lot more lately. Seems like a lot more anchors are talking about it on the news in a more, I don't know, respectful way. They're kind of respecting the issue a lot more, which I know you and I have talked about. Like, that's one of my pet peeves is when news anchors, say, well, little green man, but you can feel like there's a little bit more respect coming from that side of things, which is really exciting. So, man, May's going to be huge.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm getting excited, and to be honest with you, I think I'm pretty on top of things, but I feel way behind. The news is happening so fast right now that I mean, your head is just going like this, and it's switching back and forth. Like, oh, there's a story. And Olaf, let's get with you here for a second, because how are you feeling about the UFO world right now?
Every time this happens, it goes nowhere. I mean, it's like you asked me this before, right? It's Roswell case closed all over again. I think we're getting set up, and I think they're using it as a distraction for something else. I think they're covering something up with it.
Why do you say that?
I don't want to deflate the disclosure balloon, but I just don't buy it.
Oh, that's not very positive, my friend.
No, I'm Debbie Downer. But I actually think that's more exciting, because I think, if you look behind all, TTSA and their spook factory and all these guys that are coming out of it that are straight up spooks and heavily connected into the military industrial complex, I think there's something far better behind it than what you're seeing in the front. I think this is all a smokescreen.
See, I used to think that.
If they're fronting those UAPs, right? If they're fronting those, then what are they actually replacing them with? They only tell us about this crap after they've already built something that's way better. Right? They decom the U-2 for the SR-71. They said, here's the SR-71. Then it was the Aurora, and yep. The TR-3B. I mean, you want to go down the Lockheed project list. They're hiding something, and I think what they're hiding is far better than what we're seeing.
Oh, I'm not denying the toys. I'm totally not.
Toys is the understatement. Remember what Ben Rich said at the Caltech alumni dinner. I always tell you this. What did he say?
We've already got the technology to get ET home again.
No, he said, not only do I have the technology to take ET home, I have the contract.
Wow.
That's a powerful statement. So,
yep. All right.
This thing is me Roswell case closed.
All right, Brian, let's get your opinion. Brian Bowden.
Yeah, I'm not going to deflate it. I'm just going to pop it, because it's not going to happen. And I mean, I've been researching this, investigating it for 40 years, and it's the same setup. Something will take place in May or June that will take the attention away from ETs and UFOs and government disclosure and focus elsewhere, buying them some more time. I'm trying to figure out what the goal of disclosure is, because frankly, and I say this all the time, we don't live in a very friendly world. So as a government person, if I was president, I never released the fact that we have what we have until we had some kind of utopia, because it's going to go against us. But I don't see it happening. I mean, I don't like, To the Stars, Spook Academy. I know too many people in that business, and it's all lies and it's deception. It's smoke and mirrors, and they already know what we have. Most of them probably do know what we have. A lot of them have worked on some of these projects and in initially bits and pieces, but they've seen these crafts come to the forefront. We are about 150 years ahead of everybody, in my estimate. and we don't need to disclose it. The only reason why I think disclosure will take place, or why people want it, is because they want an "I told you so" moment. I told you. See, I wasn't crazy. Look, I wasn't crazy. But anybody that's experienced these crafts, anybody that's experienced missing time, anybody that has constant abductions, they don't need disclosure. They know it's happening. And unfortunately, I don't know what the big deal is, because so when you say you believe in UFOs, no one makes fun of you at this point. What does it matter?
I think that's a huge thing going on. Like in culturally being able to talk about it openly, and there's a little bit of vindication that I'm feeling that I love that happening, man. There's actual conversations going on rather than like, who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Get the tinfoil hats. No, and I agree with you. And what I love about this whole, a lot of mainstream media are talking about it, and in general, a lot of people discussing it, is that it's on the table. It's open to everybody, and it's not, the ridicule isn't there as much. It's the same thing with other things like cryptids and what have you, unless you get into that woo factor, and then now you're being ridiculed by the people that were already ridiculed. So like you're the bottom of the barrel at that point. But
you take 2 steps forward, you take 1 step back. I mean, they say that you get real serious, and then you have Fife Symington trucking out a guy dressed up as an alien, or the Air Force.
That was 23 years ago. I think
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Well, let's get Lex in here. Let's get Lex in here and get his opinion on this. All right, Lex, you're new to the UFO field. I mean, this is something that you don't follow on a daily basis, in between suplexes and camel clutches by the Iron Sheik. But I got to ask you, as an outsider looking in, what do you think about the fact that when you look in the media, there's stories about UFOs in there? Is it interesting to you from an outsider perspective?
Oh, it's definitely interesting. It is being somebody who's followed science fiction with Star Trek, or being a Star Trek fan myself. There's always a part of me that believes that there is more out there, to steal something from David Duchovny, basically, and to see it being covered by, and to hear it being covered by mainstream media, and having it, being covered by by mainstream journalists out there, it's pretty cool to see that those things are being discussed in the forefront now, and especially what happened. I think last year was it that the U.S. government released those videos that they have of unidentified flying objects as well. So it's probably something that kind of like in Men in Black, we don't necessarily need to know in order to live our lives here on Earth, but it's pretty damn cool to see that maybe Men in Black is actually happening, and maybe Will Smith might flashy thing me someday, but I'll never know.
You'll never know if you get flashy. I think we all want to test out the flashy thing, man. I totally think. Now, Lynn Wallington, I'm going to bring you in on this because you're formerly of MUFON. You're formerly of the Free Experiencers group, Dr. Edgar Mitchell's group. And I want to ask you, being from the UFO clique, now into the witchy clique, but now the Spaced Out Radio clique, what do you think about what's going on? Are we getting closer, or are we getting played?
I mean, I'll say the same thing that I say every time. I don't think that we're going to find out anything that we, especially in the ufology field, don't already know. I think that when Lex was talking, it actually brought something to mind, which is I think that the things they're bringing out are more for the general public that doesn't really have anything to do with UFOs and ETs and contactees and experiencers and all the above. So I think, maybe they're giving a little bit to the general public, but I don't think they're going to tell us anything we don't already know. I think it's just kind of like, we'll give you enough just to say that we gave you something, but it's not going to be anything mind-blowing.
Yep.
Well, remember, disinformation, the model of disinformation is that you have this huge disinformation cloud, right? Mm-hmm. But down the center of it is what they call the golden thread. It's a single thread of truth, the single strand that goes through the center of the disinformation. So something that they're going to tell us is true, but it's almost impossible to derive what it is.
Yeah,
Right.
and
It's all designed to deceive you.
I just want to. I noticed something in the chat room, and I don't think any of us are pouring cold water on disclosure. It's not
Oh,
like
I know.
we don't want it to happen, but I'm just telling you the truth. The reality of it is, it's a national security issue, and the only reason why it kind of got publicized because Harry Reid was opening his mouth, and it becomes national security for the safety and security of our nation versus everybody else. So to reveal what to reveal your hand to your enemy is the stupidest move in anything. Just read The Art of War. You don't do that. I think that the difference between disclosure by the government, U.S. government, and disclosure by extraterrestrials. And they will make their disclosure known when they feel right. The U.S. can say whatever they want. Yeah, we have 7 crafts. We've been reverse engineering it. And they can leave it. But it's not a leave it type of thing. Once that happens, it opens the door and everybody's going to start hammering them. So they'll be very vague, smoke mirrors, give you little tidbits here and there, and then they'll pull back.
I also go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I don't think that there ever is going to be a big disclosure moment. I think that little bits and pieces are going to get leaked here and there. They're going to feed us little things. And so it's just going to be kind of assimilated into society. And eventually we're all just going to be used to it. I don't think that there's going to be any big, like, hey, this is what we have and this is what we've known. I don't think we'll ever have that. I think it's just going to be little bits and pieces here and there.
Well, I also want to, I do want to pour some cold water on it. Look, most likely, most of the information that exists, if there are extraterrestrial craft at all, most of that information is locked in a vault at Lockheed. If you look at the way the world works, right? The U.S. government, after probably about 1950 or 1960, probably doesn't have any UFO information. After Blue Book, they probably don't have any information to release. It's all sitting at Lockheed. And the thing about it sitting at Lockheed in a compartmentalized program is that it is not FOIA-able. You cannot FOIA Lockheed and say, give me your information about UFOs. That's how they do this. That's why they do it that way. You look at Luis Elizondo. Luis Elizondo never worked for the DOD. He never worked for the Pentagon. He never worked for any of them. He worked for a defense contractor who had a contract at the Pentagon.
Yep.
Everything is done through special compartmentalized access programs because for the very reason that they don't want to release anything.
Okay, so Olaf
works all the info.
Okay, Olaf, I'm going to challenge you on that because Harry Reid, as we got just about 6 minutes here before we got to go to break, Harry Reid just released one at a time. We got to go one at a time.
Sorry.
Yeah, but Harry Reid just let out a letter and wrote a letter in defense that, in fact, Luis Elizondo did work at the Pentagon running the ATIP program.
Worked at, not for. He was a defense contractor. And if you go to the bottom of that letter, it says that most likely all that stuff is stored in a vault at Lockheed. And if it's stored in a vault in Lockheed, you will never see it.
It's all plausible deniability by the government.
Absolutely. That's
Even
why
though they control the whole thing, it's plausible deniability. We don't have anything. It's not us.
So what I'm hearing is because of, like the private sector and FOIA requests, it doesn't work that way. So there, even if the government were to say something, it's like, number one, they wouldn't even know what to say because they don't know either. So it's not that they're like withholding it on purpose. They're just like, hey, dude, I don't know. I know as much as you. Okay, all right. Love that. All right.
Yeah, so if you look at like the way DARPA works, right? That's where they test all this stuff in back engineering. DARPA issues contracts, and defense contractors get prime contracts, and then they sub it out to subcontractors to actually do the work. So Lockheed will get a prime, they will be prime on a contract, and that contract may be to back engineer a UFO. And then they'll sub out chunks of it, they'll cut it into pieces, and send bolts here and screws there and bodies over here and whatever. But it's all handled by Lockheed, not by the U.S. government. So they are a private entity. In fact, in the United States, they have the same rights as a person, thanks to that bizarre thing that we did years ago. So, you can't FOIA it. You can't do anything to it. And again, Luis Elizondo absolutely worked at the Pentagon. He worked at the DOD. He did not work for the DOD.
Yep.
He worked at the DOD as much as all the other guys on the Spook Factory who worked at SRI, which was a prime defense contractor for all kinds of wacky stuff, from MK Ultra all the way to the Stargate program. So, take it for what you will. But I think that they hide it in there so that you can't release it. They literally can't release it. It's at Lockheed.
Well, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens over the next little bit here, because over the next, 45, 50 days, we're going to see a lot more news. Apparently, there's more videos that are slated to come out. And, we're going to continue with this topic till the bottom of the hour. And then when we come back after the break, I want to get your guys' opinion on why now, because I have a theory. I have a theory, and I want to get your opinions on this. But first, Lynn, I want to bring you back in here, because the way things kind of are moving right now, they are moving so fast. Do any of us really have an idea of what's going on or where the information is leaking from?
No, and I don't think that they want us to have an idea of where the information is coming or who it's coming from and where it's leaking from. I think that ultimately any information that we receive is information that has been approved to be made public. So I don't necessarily think anything is leaking. I think it's just what they've been told they can leak to us.
See, and I agree with the military complex, okay, because we are in a military-industrial complex. We have been for the last 55, 60 years. We can all agree on that. They're not going to let us see the toys because the United States doesn't want Russia, doesn't want China to know. But what if it's not ours? That's the big thing right now. What if it's not ours? I mean, we have the USS Kidd incident where there was apparently orbs hovering over the helicopter pad, and they were calling it drones in the media. I don't buy it as drones. Lex, you're hearing all this happen from an outsider's perspective. Who do you think, or what do you think's going on?
Wow, that is a loaded question. I do agree with what Lynn was saying about the only things that we get to know from the as a general public audience is the approved things that they want us to know. Maybe because it's just at this point it just doesn't serve as a threat to anybody's safety, and that's something that again, if I could refer back to first. Men in Black, it's like, it's unless we need to know about anything that's going on here and it doesn't affect our lives, the daily life of the planet, then it should be, then it shouldn't make that much of a difference if we knew or not. But it would, I would love to see. I mean, like if it really was just drones, then okay, fine. But if there was really something like UFOs hovering over the USS Kidd, and we have that technology, I'm just actually really eager to see what kind of technology we'll have in the next maybe 10, 20 years, because if that all is available to us and we're only getting like an eighth of it in what we have right now, it's my future children and grandchildren are going to have some sort of like amazing technological future, and I'd love to be able to live to see that.
That is the big question. What are they hiding? What are they holding back? And Ben, I'm going to give you the final word. We got about 40 seconds before we go to break.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you said something about why now. I've got a crazy theory, and I think it might take a little longer, but it has to do with the ocean, man. Why now? What's happened in the past 8 years? Well, for one, we can chemically say that the ocean has changed in certain areas, and there's a lot more water than there is land on the Earth. And maybe it's not interdimensional, maybe it is, but it could just be our neighbor in the sea. I mean, I don't know if you read that article. I think there's something to it, man.
It's Megalodon. It's Megalodon, my friend. That's who it is. As we have from Ringside Heat, Lex Tan on Saga 960 AM, Olaf Phillips, Brian Bowden, who has 882 podcasts from UFO Garage. We got Big Bad Ben. And the lovely and talented Lynn Wallington, our new Saturday night host on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. We'll be back with more after this. All right, guys, we're clear.
Woo, baby.
Okie dokie.
That was a fun half hour.
Yeah, that was cool. Time to change the light. Going green.
Nice.
Fancy, Ben.
That's the way he
Making some
goes.
investments.
That's the way he goes. So, Lex, just so you know how we work, technically we're not on terrestrial radio right now. We cut it up in the segments for terrestrial radio. This show will actually run Monday on Saga.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
that's
Cool,
how.
cool.
So technically, we are on radio break right now for our terrestrial stations.
Mm-hmm.
But after the show, I will edit this and edit out these segments, and all this show will play on all our terrestrials on Monday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah. This is awesome, guys.
Are you
Guys
having
and
fun
gals.
yet? Are you having fun yet, everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is a fun conversation, man. Glad to be part of it.
You know, I didn't bring it up when Lex, you mentioned Men in Black. The guy I actually go out with all the time and investigate this stuff, he got stopped by two guys about 5 miles from his house that told him that if he kept doing these investigations, and we were doing Sasquatch, Bigfoot, he'd be arrested, he'd lose his pension. They mentioned him, they mentioned me, and apparently, and so, I mean, these people are real. I didn't experience it, but I trust this guy 100%. And it put him off. You know, he stopped doing it for over a year because he feared, losing his pension, which he just, got a retirement age right now.
Yeah. And you know what? I had a guy, I know a guy in my town, he spent, him and his wife both spent 22 years in the Canadian Navy. And he was telling me stories about some of the stuff that they were seeing out in the sea. I'm like, dude, I said, let me put you on record. And he goes, I have my pensions, man.
Yep.
You're not, I'm not taking any chances with that. I am totally not. And I said, well, I'll leave your name out. He goes, let me think about it. I haven't talked to him in 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I know he's ignoring me now because he doesn't want.
It's tough because these guys, they have a ton of information, but it's about money now. It used to be like, we'll kill you or something, back in the 50s. Now people don't care if you kill them, just don't take their pension. It's like, I don't understand it, but
That's so true though.
yeah. So unfortunately I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the threat. I wasn't there for that. But when I went up, we do a live meeting for people who have UFO experiences and, UFO meeting upstate New York. And I purposely bought a camera that shoots the front and the back. And I just for that trip up, and I use it every time I go in that area, just in case I get pulled over. I want to have something on me,
Yeah, that's smart. That's
But yeah, I called a couple of my buddies that I know and companies that don't really exist, and I mentioned what took place, and they were looking into it. So a lot of the heat seemed to be pulled back. I don't know what was said, but I mean, I don't think any one of us is technically a threat to, the community or what goes on in UFOs and cryptids. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like if anything right now, it seems like information. Yeah, we could say that a lot of it is being, disinformation and, all kinds of stuff is being said and people are talking more and more now. It's like, man, to really cross that boundary, what kind of secrets do you have to get out? It's more like technical, like you guys were saying about the toys.
Yeah.
The propulsion system and stuff. It doesn't seem like they're too worried about that aspect of it right now.
It's not just propulsion system. It's the materials you use to build this stuff. It's the composites that are radar absorbent, radar reflectant. It's the math on how they're designed. Because you take some of these next generation warships, right? They're fairly large. They have the radar cross section of like a small fishing boat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They can use the angles to actually make it look like a fishing boat on radar. Yeah. So they say DARPA. Well, I worked with a guy who worked at DARPA. I asked him how far ahead they are, and he said, I don't know, if 150 years.
Yeah.
So the stuff they're working on is 150 years in advance of where we're at.
So
wow.
I have a question about Olaf, your buddy at DARPA. This is just something we were talking about last night, Joe and I. Did he say anything about like that whole?
Okay, hold on, guys. Sorry, I lost track of time here. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the roundtable tonight. Olaf Phillips is here from Paranoia Magazine, the man who has 1,366 podcasts. Brian Bowden out of the great state of New York. Lex Tan from Saga 960's Ringside Heat. I got it right. Ringside Heat. From UFO Garage Podcast, Ben, we don't know where Joe is. He just disappeared. We think the Men in Black may have got him. And, of course, Saturday night special, Lynn Wallington coming up on Spaced Out Radio. She's going to start here in about a week. In a week. I know, Lynn, I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited for me, too.
You should be. You should be. Do you want to talk about your new show while we're here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I hate to take away from the rest of everything.
No, you go right ahead, because we're going to do the same thing with Lex next.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just, we're going to talk about all things witchy, UFO, paranormal, all kinds of good stuff. So my first guest is going to be a good one. So I think everybody will enjoy him.
She won't even tip me off, and I own the station.
I know. Surprise!
This is great news. This is awesome.
Thanks.
Yes. We got her all set up, so she's going to be broadcasting live on YouTube, and that'll start at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. It's a 2-hour, not a 3-hour. One day she'll go up to the 3. She'll be like, I need more. And her boyfriend Dave's going to be like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Get to bed. Oh, yes. But we're going to have fun with it as well. Thank you for joining the team, Lynn. We love you here.
Oh, thank you.
We do.
I'm excited.
And our new good friend from Saga 960 Radio, Lex Tan, I already screwed it up. Ringside Heat is the wrestling show where he's going to get into everything from old school camel clutches to new school wrestling and big time talk. I got to tell you, Lex, I love wrestling. I'm a closet wrestling fan that I'm pretty public about, to be honest. But, yeah, I'm excited for you, man. When's it coming on?
It's going to be on starting tomorrow, 9 p.m. So Saturday night, 9 p.m. It's going to be a weekly show, and we're going to be talking about different issues within the wrestling industry. As you said, we're going to go into the old school. We're going to go into the new school. And we're going to have good guests. We're going to have great roundtable discussions just like we got over here on your show, Dave, and learning a lot from you all from being here as well. And our first guest actually is going to be new for those who watch wrestling or follow it, former WWE referee and Toronto boy himself, Jimmy Corderas. So he's got a lot of great stories and a lot of experiences to share. And he's a great guy to interview, very gracious and very positive person to be around.
I got to tell you, is there anything more useless of a job in life than being a wrestling referee? Honestly.
Ooh, no, that's actually being a wrestling referee is actually one of the most important things that you can do because, as Mr. Cordera said to me, you gotta be doing your job so well that you're invisible in the ring compared to the guys. If you're, let's say, you're Roman Reigns versus John Cena, you gotta make sure that those guys shine, and you do your job to make sure that the match flow goes well. You make sure that you don't count an accidental 3 when you should only be counting 2, and you got to make sure that you're always in communication with the people in the back who are directing the show, and also feeling the crowd at the same time to know when it's time to hit those big spots, and to make sure that that the best finish comes through.
I got schooled right there. All right. Why now? All right. That's the big topic here as we continue with the roundtable tonight. Why now? Why all of a sudden is UFOs and the potential of disclosure the hot button topic that is taking off? Now, last roundtable, we asked this same question. However, the news has not slowed down. But Old Davey's been doing some thinking in the shower while sitting and doing my thing in my office at work, while driving around, looking up in the sky, after Spaced Out Radio, when I stare up at the stars at night, and I'm wondering, why now? And I've come to two theories on why I think UFOs are in the hot seat right now. Number one, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't believe this, but I'm going to put it out there. We could be in for an alien invasion false flag. Number 2, which I do believe, and I'm not going to say how, who, what, when, where, or why, but I do believe this one. I think we've had contact. And I think there was probably a date given. And that's the reason why I'm not saying how I know this or if I know this. All right? But this is where I think that we are the reason why we are now getting into the why now. Because the why now question is being asked by no one but us. No one. Ben, I see you kind of pondering there, man. What do you think?
Well, you gave me goosebumps because that's just it really fits, man. Your number 2, the number 2 idea or scenario is that if we receive some kind of contact and we're given not 180 days, but that's just an irony there. But it would make sense that we've been preparing our culture for forever about the possibility of these entities someday or already being here on Earth. But, man, to kick it into high gear like the media has been doing recently, I think that fits, man. I think you're onto something there.
All right, Lynn, do we have a date? Not you and I personally. Well, we do for next Saturday night when you're on the radio.
So I'm waiting till now. No pressure.
Ask me the questions again. Sorry, I was getting distracted because they were asking me about the drinking game, if it was going to be on the show.
What drinking? Hold on.
No, what drinking game?
Hold on. You can't drop a drinking game without it.
Oh, no, on our YouTube channel that Caitlin and I do, we have a drinking game that goes along with it. So some of the people that have seen it know about the drinking game.
I gotta watch now. I'm a sucker for Ghost Adventures drinking games, and I gotta watch now.
Yes.
That's good.
So what were the questions again? I'm so sorry.
Why now? Alien invasion, which I don't believe, or have we been contacted and the aliens have set a date on when they will be here?
Neither.
Neither.
I don't know.
Come on, fill me in. Then why now?
I don't know why now. Like I said, I think that they're just slowly starting to kind of integrate the information into society. I don't know why they picked now, because people are talking about it. That would be my guess. People are interested in it and they're asking for it. So maybe that's why. Sorry, it's not an exciting answer, but
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
It is a good answer, but I'm still going to give you the stink face.
stink away. It's fine.
All right.
Which is a wrestling move, actually.
Very nice. Lex, what do you think? Are we going to get an alien invasion, or do you think aliens have contacted the governments of the world and said, we're going to be there on such and such a date, and you've got this much time to prepare your people of your planet?
Ooh. You know, this discussion reminds me of a date in the sort of future, but sort of past at the same time, too. April 4, 2063, which in Star Trek circles is called Zefram Cochrane Day, the day that the Vulcans came to Earth and made first contact with humans, which in one timeline, it's the prime timeline. That's like, it sets humanity on the path of benevolence and to be the shining light of the universe, basically. But on the other side, it also was the alternate universe has it that it takes humanity on a very antagonistic and evil path as well, and they become the tyrants of the universe. In terms of why now, I would say I would say it is it is going to be a teaser so that we can sort of mentally get ourselves ready for it if there is going to be something big about to happen. But at the same time, what could it mean? Could it be that because we're not ready for these things, we're a lot of as a whole, we're kind of xenophobic species, honestly, and we need to be eased into this thing if this all comes to pass.
Well, we are jerks. Let's face it. We are jerks. Yeah. We are a jerk of a species. We're not a happy species. I mean, you look, we will kill people over a pair of runners or sneakers for you Americans down there. All right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Sneakers. All right. But I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, we allow people to starve. I'm not going to go on a big diatribe, but we allow people on this planet to starve. We allow people on this planet to be homeless. We allow people on this planet to go to bed hungry. We allow children to suffer. We're not a good species overall. Now, that's not saying there's not good people out there. I think there's a lot of good people out there. But for the most part, the jerks really ruin everything. They really do. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel that this is one of the issues that we're dealing with. Brian, let's get you in here.
You know, brother, when I get in that ring... Oh, sorry. I was going to go with the wrestling aspect.
Let me tell you something, brother.
So there's a lot of things going on here. I know that there's a certain doctor that has like a cult of followers that has been promoting this blue beam and evasion of UFOs and alien craft, whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I know from research, I've never met them, but we have been in contact numerous times with numerous different types of extraterrestrials for decades. That being said, I think the only reason why now is because with other countries coming out with some, releasing whatever files they have or information, it's our turn now. And, we're not going to fall for that one. But something that's very important and no one's focusing on that's non-alien based is what's happening outside our planet right now. We are in a huge debris field. And they don't know where it's technically coming from. We're also being pummeled from the rear of the planet or the dark side of Earth compared to the front with the coronal mass ejections. If you just look at what's going on here, could possibly we be experiencing some kind of large, planet or something coming back into our system, and we're going to have to explain it some way? Like, well, what's that all about? Because we already know that, I still include Pluto as a planet, and I don't care what Tyson says.
Pluto is a planet.
Pluto is a planet, and he grew up only a couple of blocks from where I am. But so I think there are other things that are taking place outside that are going to affect us, where people would be looking to some kind of extraterrestrial answer, that's happening, astronomically. Other than that, I don't know. I just think it's the flavor of the last couple of years. Harry Reid brings it up. It's in the news. The news catches it. It's a buzz thing. But in general, it is what it is. We all know they exist. I don't know what else, they're going to do. I don't think there's going to be a fake invasion.
You don't think so?
Not at all.
Olaf Phillips, your thoughts?
Well, I definitely don't think it's going to be blue beam. There's been no evidence of blue beam ever in the history of the universe. I think we've had passive contact with aliens at various points. I mean, this is the Heineck Valley thing, where it's 10% or less remain unexplainable. But I think that if we're looking for a reason why, I think really a lot of it has to do with where we are. And, the astronomical explanation is a very interesting one. Get to that in a second. But I think it really comes down to, us and the Russians and the Chinese, we're trying real hard to restart the Cold War. And the Cold War is a very important economic boost, right? The way we got pulled out of the Depression was World War II. These are, guns sell. In fact, you were talking about letting people starve. In most parts of the world, it's cheaper to buy an AK-47 than a gallon of water. It is easier for me to buy an AK-47 with as many bullets as I want than to feed my family. So I buy an AK-47 to rob people to feed my family. That's the kinds of things that happen. But I think, we're trying to start the Cold War again. And if you're going to have the Cold War, you need fear. And so we need to have some weird stuff flying around. I don't want to get bleeped. Having some weird stuff flying around in the sky that we think is Russian or Chinese, or they think it's Russian or American or Chinese or whatever. East Asia is always at war with Oceania and Eurasia. Then Eurasia is always at war with Oceania and East Asia, and it kind of rotates around from 1984. So I think that's where we're at. One interesting thing about the astronomical thing that he was talking about is that there's a kind of interesting show that actually premiered on NBC. I don't generally watch, the main networks, NBC, CBS, ABC, but there's a show on there called Debris, and the whole point of Debris is that they detected an alien ship passing through our solar system that was disintegrating, and a lot of the debris, the wreckage from it, crash landed on the Earth, and it has these bizarre properties. I think that's reinforcement, subtle reinforcement of the narrative that there's something going on, and we're going to be told about it. And whoever it is, Dr. Cult Leader, he's going to summon some blue chicken people, from some other planet, and they're all going to save us. But it is interesting that at this time, a show like Debris comes out. When the UFO experience was kind of breaking the mainstream, you had X-Files come along. I mean, they kind of coincide. So, but no, I don't think there's a date. I don't, I'm always interested in the story of Holloman Air Force Base and Eisenhower, supposedly meeting the aliens, and Richard Nixon taking Jackie Gleason out to show him the bodies. And that one actually apparently has some credibility, but, I don't think they're going to land on the front yard of the White House and say, hey, we're here. No.
I got to ask you right now, who has the crickets?
I muted my microphone.
So did I.
That's got to be Olaf because he's in California. No, dude, the crickets sound awesome in the background.
They do. They sound nice.
Yeah.
Should I light a fire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, unless you got mantids back there. Are they mantids and not crickets? Olaf's got mantids.
Mantid.
Yes.
I didn't know to use it.
Yes.
Sharpen the spikes. They're coming.
That's right. My part of the discussion is this, guys, as we kind of continue on through the top of the hour. We got about 4.5 minutes. to go here with the first hour almost complete. I really do believe, and I know I'm going to be in the minority here, but I really do believe that there was some sort of contact made. Now, I also believe that we've had contact for years. So let me rephrase the question. If we have had contact for years, are we getting closer to that date of arrival? You don't think so, Olaf?
No, I don't. I have no doubt that UFOs are flying around in the air, piloted by aliens or interdimensional beings, whether you like aliens or ultra-terrestrials, whatever flavor you like. But I have always maintained that they are studying. And the way that I think about it is that I'm going to date myself, but when I was a kid watching Battlestar Galactica, right around then I'd watch a show called Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins.
Who didn't watch that?
My favorite episode of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Marlon was a unique guy. He actually did stuff, unlike Jacques Cousteau or the people of that era. He didn't just stand there and go, well, those are the buffalo. So my favorite episode of Wild Kingdom, Marlon went up with a tranquilizer rifle into a helicopter, and he was chasing a herd of buffalo. And so he finds this poor buffalo, and he decides, well, that's the one. And so he shoots it with a tranquilizer rifle. They land the helicopter. Marlon gets out. Suddenly, the vets and all the researchers descend on this poor buffalo, and they tag him. They put the tag in his ear. This predates chipping, but they would have chipped him. They measured his teeth. They took a sample out of his stomach. They took bits of his hair and other biological material. Now, if you take the helicopter and turn that into a UFO, and you take Marlon Perkins and you turn that into a gray alien, that sounds an awful lot like an abduction.
Yep.
So for me, I've always likened the abduction scenario, the implants, all that stuff is very legit. I've seen UFOs that defy physics myself. I think that some of them are alien or ultra-terrestrial in nature, but I think that they're doing what Marlon was doing up in that helicopter with a tranquilizer rifle. And if that's what they're doing, having studied anthropology, the one thing that you learn not to do is to go walk up and say, hey, I'm here. Well, there are some people like Chagnon that have done that. But Chagnon, as an example, when he dealt with the Yanomami, they lied to him for 5 years. They completely lied to him. They took his shiny trinkets and his pickaxes and shovels, and they told him absolute BS for 5 years. Until basically he married a Yanomami woman. Then they told him the truth. So, I don't think their game plan is to land. Or they would have done it.
Somebody's going to marry an alien.
All I'm going to say is Marlon Perkins looked about 85 years old when he was 32.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a badass up in that helicopter with his tranquilizer rifle, I'll tell you that.
I use the same example when I talk about what's going on with UFOs and abductions. It's the same thing. We're now all part of the Mutual Omaha's Earth Kingdom, and we're probably number one on extraterrestrial TV.
We're the apex predator,
yep.
Right? So if you want to know what's going on, you take the apex predator because we can dominate all other species. So we're at the apex of the pyramid, so you take them. But, you also want to take cows because why do you take cows? Because we eat them.
Yep.
They take pigs too. They take horses. The mutilations, they go all the way from people. There are cases of human mutilations like in Brazil. There's a story from John Lear about a B-52 crew in Vietnam that they found. But horses, they take pretty much anything that we eat ends up on the abduction list and the mutilation list. So, they take a lot of cows. We eat a lot of cows.
Well, who doesn't like a good steak? Let's be honest.
A vegetarian.
But it's not necessarily all about science and tagging and bagging us.
By the way, let's just get it out in the open. Lynn started eating meat again. Congratulations, Lynn. Congratulations, Lynn. Congratulations.
Can I digress for a moment? When I was in college, I was a vegetarian for 3 years. Do you know what made me not be a vegetarian?
Meat.
A Wendy's cheeseburger.
Oh, yes. That'll do it every time. Gentlemen and lady, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there because we are going to go to the break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go of the SOR Roundtable. It happens near the end of each month where I bring in a great panel like this one. We got Lex Tan from Saga 960's Ringside Heat. We have Brian Bowden, 182 podcast live right now. Olaf Phillips, Lynn Wallington from UFO Garage. We got Big Bad Ben and myself, Dave Scott. Hour 2 of the Roundtable is next. All right, I'm going to run my dogs out. Thanks, Ryan. Now you got me embarrassed saying that.
He did. I almost said it like at the same time you did.
Hey, Rye Till You Die did a video on his YouTube channel that literally is about me to the music "Who Let the Dogs Out" and me saying I'm going to let my dogs out.
No way.
Yeah, it's amazing,
dude. That's amazing.
Somebody post that link. Princess Denali, can you post that link in YouTube if you don't mind? It's freaking awesome. I'll be right back, guys. You chat away with our YouTube crowd.
I'll be right back to you guys.
Marlon Perkins, baby. I'll be right back.
Yep, Marlon Perkins, and it was always like, and Jim's going to go into the helicopter, and Jim's like doing all the work.
I remember.
Because growing up, all we had was we had a lot of the Wild Kingdom. But as far as this type of genre is concerned, all we really had to deal with was In Search Of. I mean, they had a couple of shows, but that's where I got my stuff. I'm a 70s kid growing up in the 70s,
So, over here, I have the soundtrack to In Search Of on LP.
Great.
I have a whole In Search Of collection.
It's
obsessed about it.
And it's funny, we didn't even have quality books or publications. There was one, I forgot the name of it, but it had Loch Ness and Bigfoot on the cover. It was a small paperback. And when that came out, that was the best you can get.
When I was in elementary school, I saw a UFO, and I went into the library, and they had Veli, Heineck, and Brad Steiger. And I read Mysteries from Beyond Time and Space because in third or fourth grade, it was the only one I could comprehend.
Yeah, I mean, some they didn't even get into they wouldn't even talk about physics. It was all Buck Rogers and science fiction stuff, But,
Brother Brando, he was a good guy, and he wrote some really good books. But he was a storyteller.
Yeah, it's interesting. I get to interview some of those guys, some of these people that I watched on television or I heard about, and it's just amazing connecting with them and becoming friendly with them. So you can actually have more conversations with them. That's the best part. I mean, everything we do, I founded and direct the New York State UFO project with my buddy. And we do it because there's a lot of people that have come to us and said they're scared out of their minds. Like, what do I do? How do I stop UFOs? I have a lady in New York, upstate New York, sent me video from night cameras. And in one of these videos, you zoom in and you see a gray's head peek up and kind of turn and look around a little bit. She wants to call the military, get them out of here. I'm like, I can't. That's the problem with these abductions. There's zero control over it. It doesn't matter, even if the military said, well, we want you to stop. The aliens would be like, instead of the middle finger, the mall.
Well, there is a case of the Cisco Grove where the guy shot it with a bow and arrow, and there are some other ones where but I mean, even Barney Hill got out of the, when they got abducted, they got out of the car. He pulled the 45 out from under the seat and opened fire on the thing, and it didn't.
Oh yeah, and it was Starlight in Las Vegas. I forgot the guy that has abductions all the time. He says he must have killed 50 of them already.
But I'm probably not the person to talk about the interrupted journey with, because I have a different theory. But he definitely got out of the car with his Colt 45 and opened up on the UFO.
Oh yeah, why not?
It's a matter of record.
Colt 45 in a UFO, baby. That's all I see. You know what I'm saying?
All right, we got about 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, Magnus. Hi, Discovering Sasquatch. How are you? Welcome to the show. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Clam. How are you? Mondak, what's going on?
Dude, that Dave let the dogs out video. It's so good, dude.
It is, isn't it? You didn't play it, did you?
I didn't over the speaker. No, I just watched
Okay,
it.
good.
Yeah.
Good, because I don't want to get nailed with a copyright infringement there.
Yeah, for sure. Man, it sucks when that happens.
I know.
It's terrible.
Bonjour, Julien. Comment ça va? Randy Spurl, what's going on? I hear you're spurling tonight.
Texas barbecue, cloudy. Yes. Lynn, you gotta come down to Austin. You gotta get some Texas barbecue.
I know.
Dave
Well, you know what?
needs
I
that.
spent a lot of my summers in San Antonio, so I've had Texas barbecue quite a bit.
Okay. I was wondering because I remember something about you being in Texas at some point. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I used to go to Rudy's all the time.
Oh,
San Antonio.
Dave wants to go to San
Who doesn't?
Antonio.
Who doesn't?
Oh my god.
Hi, Aaron. How are you? Lex, are you having fun?
I'm having a blast here, guys. This is awesome.
I could tell by the
man.
smile on your face. She's like, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but I'm telling you, this is good stuff.
I feel, I mean, like, yes, I'm the outsider and all this, and I'm the newbie here and everything. At the same time, I'm like, feeling like I'm referring to everything pop culture, but you guys are talking about some like real stuff here, and it's just and so I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I could be the pop culture guy.
Hey,
I
Barnabas.
love that you dropped the Star Trek reference. I think that's awesome.
Okay, guys,
Yes.
hold on here, okay? We're going to get going here. Hi, gorgeous Marie. Welcome to the show. Thank you to Cat Chaser, Ibarata, Olav, and Ed for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on the show. Here comes hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears, especially if you're tuned in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh, what the hell is this? Cephalonomancy. Cephalonomancy is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the SOR Paranormal Roundtable tonight, and we got a great panel with you. From Ringside Heat, we have Lex Tan, whose new show will be broadcasting on Saga 960 in Mississauga, Ontario, where we broadcast as well. Brian Bowden, who has literally 1,488 podcasts that run simultaneously. He's actually, during the breaks, podcasting about podcasts. We have from UFO Garage Podcast, Ben, his big sidekick. Joe is not here tonight, but if you're not signed up to their channel on YouTube, I highly suggest you do. It's some of the most entertaining YouTube UFO chat in the world right there. Olav Phillips from Paranoia Magazine and the lovely and talented Lynn Wallington, who will be doing our Saturday night show right here on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. She'll be broadcasting. She starts a week Saturday. So I'm excited for this. And everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get into the paranormal realm here on the roundtable because I heard of some stuff happening around the paranormal world lately that I don't like. I don't like it. And I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because I think it really messes with a beautiful field. I think there's a lot of brilliant people in the paranormal realm who are trying to figure out some real tough questions. What are ghosts? Are they on the same timeline as us? Are they on a different timeline? And are we ghosts to them? Or is there truly life after death? But what a lot of these paranormal teams are doing now is they're trying to lock down locations, making companies, making areas, museums sign contracts that they're the only ones allowed to investigate that area. So, Brian, I want to start with you on this one.
Oh.
Do you think this is a good step for many in the paranormal to take?
No, not at all. I think these places that have had hauntings that people want to go investigate should be investigated by multiple groups and they should share their evidence and see if it correlates to what the other, group A has found versus B and C and D. Everybody's trying to, I don't know, get their paranormal TV show possibilities brewing somehow. And it's cost a lot of money. I know people that put on these events, and some of them are great, and they're inexpensive, like $50 for dinner, drinks, dessert, and then you get to, go on an investigation and this, card readers, and that's wonderful. But other people are gouging people on this. And frankly, I kind of agree. I think you mentioned it a couple times, Dave, that I really wish people would go elsewhere instead of Eastern State and, the same old, same old. I mean, give me a new location, give me something different, in the area. Don't keep going to the same place. I mean, we've seen it. It's been done before. It's old school.
It is old school. We need more imagination. We need more everything. Lex, if you were a ghost hunter, all right, would you think it's fair to lock down locations so other teams could not be there?
I personally would want more teams around me. I want to be able to, if I do find something and confirm something with another team, and just having those, as I guess in the in Catholic church circles, they say if two or more agree, then that's a thing. Basically, I think that's the way it's supposed to go. I don't know, haven't been a while. Anyway, but like just to have that confirmation from another team, so that I have some sort of backup would be beneficial to what I want to prove. And I think that it should be opened up to other teams for that sense, because if it's just down to one person, one team, then you can't really question at the same, so we'll never really have a full answer on that.
I think that's pretty much right. Lynn, how about you?
No, I completely agree. Like, I don't think that anybody should have rights to any one place or any one ghost. And if we are going to be conducting scientific research, and that's what these paranormal groups are claiming that they're wanting to do, part of scientific research is to be able to have these same results validated. So if you have the same group as he was just saying, like if you have the same group going in over and over and over again, how do we know that those results are being repeated? If it's the same group. But if you have a different group going in and now they're having similar results, okay, that's validating.
It is very validating. And these teams should be working closer together, Olav, because that's how we're going to solve some of these great mysteries. And there are a lot of great mysteries that we still want answers. I mean, think about it. If we're able to solve the ultimate question in life, is there life after death? That would be somebody's $1 million lottery, and we may get that from the spirits. However, if we're not working together, which the paranormal world seems very individualistic, we're never going to solve the mysteries. We're just playing games, looking for ghosts. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with everybody. I don't think it should be limited. I mean, I can understand you have something like Skinwalker Ranch and you want to kind of limit the number of people that can go on there because you're trying to create a control environment. I get something like that. But, you see it in ufology, you see it in cryptozoology, you see it in all the ologies, right? That, people come in and, they want to make money and it becomes more about the money. I mean, you see it a lot with writers. They'll write a book There's a guy in particular I'm thinking of in the UFO world. Maybe he had a point originally, but he had to keep escalating and escalating to sell more books. Then he ended up with the blue circle ships and chicken people. And, he's sending pictures out saying there's Nazi moon bases. He's taking screenshots from Iron Sky. He's a quack. And that's kind of what happens eventually. And now, he tried to copyright all kinds of stuff and it's absurd. But you also see it in the groups. Several of my panel members here, they were members of MUFON. MUFON was notorious for that kind of stuff. They had this massive UFO sightings database. They wouldn't share it with anybody. Even if you were a MUFON member, you couldn't necessarily get access to it. But they'll sell it to, Bigelow and by proxy to the DOD, because they wanted $1 million to fund the STAR team. Well, they screwed up, only got $500,000, and the DOD got the entire membership list. But there's a level of greed that occurs and a one-upsmanship, and I find it rather distasteful. I mean, I like doing this. That's why I'm here. Don't buy my book. I don't care. I'm here just because I enjoy the topic. You want to buy my book? Sure, go for it. But I'm not here to sell it. And I think that's an important thing to say.
Ben, how about for you?
Yeah, man, I think some of it's a little bit of human nature. I mean,
for sure,
a lot of people want to see, a lot of people would love to see an alien or a ghost, and then they probably never will. But there are the select few that it just comes naturally. They've been seeing sightings of ghosts and entities and, hearing things audibly throughout their whole life. Doesn't mean they're crazy, but it does happen a lot. I think a lot of people on this panel and people listening to this show are either interested. Well, they have to be interested in it, but something's happened to them, right? Like something's going on. So if you are in this world where it's kind of a coveted thing to experience something, that's like the holy grail. Like, oh man, I want to relive my experiences so bad that I would, I'd do anything to go back and redo or look at something differently. I think it's all about coveting that moment. And I think it just boils down to that. If you can control the environment and say, you know what, I want to be the only one to experience this thing. I don't want to be tainted by any other people's energies by coming in on Thursdays and Tuesdays. Oh, I got Wednesdays. Like, you want to kind of have it to yourself. I think that's gotta where my brain goes.
For me, it reeks of egotism.
Yeah,
it really does. That if you guys want to go out on a paranormal group, look, there are businesses out there, there are museums out there that may hire a ghost team to help raise money for the museum. It's become an economic foundation, which I think is fine. So if you're saying, look, Ben's ghost team is going to be running our ghost tour at the local museum every second Saturday night, I'm quite okay with that. I very much am okay. But that shouldn't stop other teams from being able to go in there. Maybe not on tour nights, but on other nights, why not? But I think a big problem that we have here, and by the way, Ben, I just noticed the gnome over your shoulder. That looks...
No, that's Joe.
Is that Joe? Okay.
It's Joe.
So I thought I had Joe here. But...
Dude, I noticed that you had a gnome the other night, and it blew my mind,
bro. I know.
How long has that been there?
I just got that. One of our listeners, the Michael Leger actually made that for me. But the point that I'm getting at is this. If we sit there and we are blocking other people, we are not advancing the field. We are doing the exact opposite of what should be happening on our studies. It goes with the same thing where these teams claim they are conducting scientific experimentation, which they haven't done anything scientifically since high school, right. Or how every other team has to have if you go on their websites, they're always posed with their arms crossed on an angle, and this is the team skeptic photo.
Yes.
Right? And you got the team skeptic. If you have to have a team skeptic, immediately it tells me your team is garbage. Your team is garbage because everybody should have skepticism going in on this.
Discernment.
And if your team doesn't know what you're trying to solve, but you're going out to play with ghosts, that's fine. Go for the entertainment factor. It's fantastic. It's a good time. I've done it. Okay, but if you're actually trying to solve mysteries, leave that to the pros, if there are any in this field. Leave it to the pros. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, man. The pros is an interesting thing because when I first got into this subject, I've been into it for a long time, but talking to other people that knew what the hell they were talking about, there wasn't really, I didn't really understand that there is a difference, and it's all how you approach it with respect and with an open mind. You don't go into a house looking for, hey, let's see the guy. Come on. I want to get scared. Like, you just don't do that. Nothing's going to happen. Or you don't go to a cornfield in Texas and say, hey guys, we're definitely going to see some UFOs tonight. It's all about the intent. So that's what I've learned. So I think the pros in like making a business out of it, it can be done, but I think it has to be tastefully or you're not going to make much of a difference there. You're probably not going to see anything. But yeah, that's an interesting subject, the pros versus people that are just getting into it.
Exactly. Lex, what's your thoughts?
Well, in terms of having professionals handle it, that's something that I would have to trust. If I know there's a professional handling it all, then I could trust what they are talking about, and they have that sort of credibility. Not to say that the average person who has done their research and their due diligence doesn't have doesn't have that credibility among them, but I would put it this way. The Shroud of Turin is one of those things that's people still consider, I guess, not just a religious icon or something like that, but it's also could be considered a paranormal icon because it could be one of the earliest physical things that could prove the paranormal, and seeing how the research on that on the blood and on the blood that's found on it, and then and the way the cloth has been weaved and everything, just to be able to take the scientific method and put it all together. They took a whole bunch of different scientific groups from around the world to study this thing, and even up to now, it's still sort of inconclusive because more information has come out and another piece of information has come out. So, in the end, the pros can handle it and everything, but we could end up with more questions than answers. But I could still trust those questions because they come from the pros.
Absolutely. And I think we need more pros, but we also got to be critical of the fact that we don't know what we're solving. We don't know if it's life after death. We don't know if it's people running on other dimensions. Lynn, do you think that we are the ghost to some of these ghosts that we are dealing with?
It's certainly possible. We don't know how they perceive us. So, we still don't know exactly what they are. So I think that's an impossible question to answer right now, but it's possible. Maybe we come across as ghosts to them.
But what about the criticalness that we should be having in this field? How are we going to solve anything if we're not being critical with the information that's coming out? And most people are just out there for being hobbyists and enthusiasts.
Well, again, we don't know everything. We really don't know much of anything. And like a lot of science, it starts out anecdotally. And I think that we're still in the very, very beginnings of our understanding of this field. So no one's an expert. Some people have more experience than others. Some people attempt it in a way that maybe is more scientific than others. But I don't know that you could really call anybody an expert. So I think we're all still learning right now.
When you
yeah, that's it.
when you get into the term professional and professional and scientific, what makes someone a professional in the field of ghost investigations? I don't like calling it hunting anymore because we're not going out there with a 30-06, shooting up someone's house. So what makes a professional? Is it the way they conduct themselves, or the fact they got paid? Because most of the time people can't, take, oh, if I'm getting paid, I'm a professional. That's how they do it. I personally go on the other spectrum. It's how you conduct yourself. And when I talk about science, I studied physics, astrophysics, and astronomy at one point, thinking about going that field, but you couldn't make money in it. I didn't want to be a professor, so I went to business. But when I talk science in there, and I agree with you, Dave, all these science terms, I'm just trying to replicate what happened over and over again. See if someone else can replicate the same, test or experiment. That's my science thing. But other people are trying. I don't know what science they're talking about, and so I think, I'm just trying to figure out who's the professional. Is the one that conducts themselves properly, or the one that's getting paid $150 per person or per couple, to run the library, the old lighthouse where old man Witherspoon lives.
I think I know him.
Old man Witherspoon. Who is that?
Yeah, he used to sell beans, man. He used to sell beans, dude. I know that guy.
He's in the Scooby-Doo episodes all the time. It's old man Witherspoon at the lighthouse.
Yeah, man.
So
he sold beans, dude.
I mean, we don't charge when we go to an investigation. We're trying to help people out, actually, and we know our limits. Our limits, in far as that kind of in the paranormal, you get demonic stuff, I'm out. It's above my pay grade. There are other people I have to call in at that point and say, hey, first bless me a couple of times, and you need to get over to this person's house because they have something that is truly demonic. Most people say, oh, it's demonic because you have a pissed off spirit that keeps getting harassed by one person that wants to keep challenging it. I'd be pissed off if I was dead and somebody came in my house and yelled at me too. So it's a crazy thing. And on another end of the spectrum, I know this for a fact, there are people that have these type of dinner entertainment packages at certain haunted locations. And then when other people start bringing other people to those locations on this, a different night or a month later, they start fighting with each other. Well, you can't go there. I'm the one that brings people there. It's craziness. It's absolutely insanity what's going on in that whole end of this field.
Well, Olaf, I'm going to give you the final say on this. You got 2 minutes.
Well, I don't think you can be an expert in any of this stuff. I think at some level, we're all experiencers or adventurers. I mean, in my case, I'm probably more on the adventurer spectrum. So I'm going out seeking it, trying to find it, trying to experience it. I've taken people with me. I don't ever charge them. They're my friends. I take them along. We go see some UFOs, manifest stuff, see ghosts, whatever we're doing. I mean, it's, but I think a lot of these people that are experts, they're really entertainers. I mean, you can't watch some of these shows and think to yourself, this is anything more than entertainment. So, but there are a few people that have actual graduate degrees in paranormal psychology. And, they're using the scientific method, but those people, I think there are probably 5 in the world, and we, if you're going to be a professional, it's not about how much money you make. It's about your method. Are you using the scientific method? Yep. Which is very difficult. I mean, I watched an arm manifest in front of me, right? I go back there 1,000 more times. I'll probably never see that arm manifest in front of me. So I'm going to flunk the scientific method, but that's the process. You got to figure out what made that arm manifest in front of me on that night, on that time, in that location. But yeah, no, I'm very leery of professionals. We're all adventurers at some level. That's really what it is.
I think as we come to a close here, I think one of the biggest things that we see in the paranormal, cryptid, and UFO world is everybody wants to give themselves a title. Everybody wants to make themselves sound more important than what they really are, and a title will always do that at every time. And I think it's sad because if people are about to be honest with themselves, honest with their research, and more importantly, honest with the public that they are sending the information to, then we really have to just be ourselves rather than be the title. Olaf Phillips, Lynn Wallington, Ben from UFO Garage, Brian Bowden, Ringside Heat host, Lex Tan. We continue with the SOR Roundtable right after this. All right, we're clear.
Is that Bigfoot Olaf, dude? That's awesome.
Is that a Bigfoot with a gnome?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Are you serious? It has a gnome on its arm?
awesome.
Juan.
Oh my
I'm
God.
feeling.
Cool.
That's
I'm feeling
amazing.
so-
I've got a few gnomes in here, actually.
I'm feeling so gnome deficient. You guys all have gnomes.
I've got a fake alien, but no gnomes.
Hold on.
Well, you guys
There's
all-
somebody
you guys all
knocking at
have
my door.
gnomes.
Hold on.
There you go.
Oh my God. It's Carl.
Someone's knocking at the door.
Come back.
Oh, what the fuck are you doing here? Jesus. Oh.
He's gone. They took him.
You left your wallet on the ship.
Yes, dude. Oh my
It's
God.
hilarious.
Yes. Don't do this at home, kids.
That's awesome. Oh boy.
Yes.
Nice.
I am El Ovni Volador. I am
There
back.
you go.
Nice.
Oh, I was going to wear my wrestling mask.
Hold on, I gotta
That
close
was
the door.
question. I was just starting to look for it on eBay. Alien-based wrestling mask. That's the crossover right
Dude,
there.
yeah.
Alien.
That would be fantastic.
That would be awesome.
How much time before we get back on, Dave?
We got a couple. I'm not Dave. I'm El Ovni Volador.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, okay. Yes, Mr. Diablo Evlov. Yeah. How much time do we have left before we get back on?
About 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll be back in a sec.
Don't call me Dave. I am El Ovni Volador.
OVNI. Wait, are you saying OVNI?
El Ovni Volador, the flying UFO.
That's okay. Yeah. OVNI Volador.
Hey, the gorgeous and talented Nicole Sakic is here. For I am El Ovni Volador.
Dude, I feel like I don't know. I feel like either you got some sick moves, or you can play the guitar. You've got something going on. You're about to perform for us. I'm not sure what it is,
Who
but
the
I'm
hell
ready
are you?
for it. I have just stepped in the ring. I am Chancho Nino.
Rookies. Rookies.
Hey, Dave. You know, I was gonna.
Who's Dave?
I sorry, whatever the hell you are. I was gonna tell you, I collected a couple more titles.
What does that say?
Paranoia Conspiracy magazine.
Oh, very nice.
You're a Paranoia Conspiracy reader. Yeah, when I had the guy make it at Disneyland, he was like freaking out. I had to slip him a 20.
That's amazing.
He's like, is this a joke? And I'm like, no, I own the magazine.
Dude, yes. That's amazing.
I'm the Moscow Marauder. You've stolen the property of the USSR, Mr. Gunn.
Do I need to go get my Spetsnaz beret? I have one. Hold on.
I'll do a half an hour in the mask. Why not?
Man, I gotta get me a mask. You guys look so cool.
Right? Now you know how to
eBay.
deal with the gnomes.
eBay
Yeah,
is your source. Go
Lynn,
to eBay.
You need mask. You need mask and gnome.
I do. I need a gnome mask.
Oh my God, yes.
Perfect.
See, I have a Rey Mysterio mask myself, but it's like buried in my closet right now. This is the only thing I could get out at the moment.
We went on a cruise, and she was 5 years old, my youngest, and we went to Cozumel, Mexico. We went in the market, and I said, you can get whatever you want. My oldest one bought a T-shirt that made you look like you're in a bikini, and my youngest bought a bright pink wrestling mask with a big cross on the top. And she just put it on and started beating up her sister with it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah,
That's nice.
that's what's up.
Oh, those
Kids
are my
will
children.
Be kids. Kids will be kids.
Very nice.
This is actually my son's. He has a collection.
Oh, what does that beret say, dude?
It's a Spetsnaz beret.
Nice.
What is it?
Ooh, wow.
I don't think I know that term.
Russian Special Forces.
Yep.
Oh, snap. That's cool, man.
Yeah, he has a collection of Marxist stuff. That's my kid.
Yeah.
20 seconds, guys. I want to say a big thank you to Dirty Filth, to Olav, to Andrew, Ibarata, Cat Chaser, Olav again, Cat Chaser, and Ed for the super chats. El Ovni Volador loves the support of Spaced Out Radio. Here we go, everyone. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am El Ovni Volador, and we thank each and every one of you for tuning us in on the mighty SOR. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the SOR Roundtable tonight. We have Lynn Wallington, who will soon host the Saturday night show on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. We have Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. From Ringside Heat Wrestling Show on Saga 960, Lex Tan, Brian Bowden, who's wearing that's Boyanovsky, and Ben from UFO Garage. I don't know what the heck that is on top of your head. Oh, hold on. What is that, Ben?
Chancho Nino, yes.
Yes, all right. So we're going to continue on with the roundtable tonight. I got to get into this. Let's do this thing right now, because Lex has a wrestling show on Saga 960 that's about to debut, and Saga 960 is one of the radio stations that hosts Spaced Out Radio. And I want to ask you guys, if we had Dogman on this side, and we had on the other side of the ring Bigfoot, who's winning in a wrestling match? Who's crawling out of the cage victorious? And how are they doing this? Lex, we're going to start with you on this one. Are you going with Dogman or are you going with Bigfoot?
Ooh, it is a tough one. Jeez, it's just such. It's an even matchup. It is they've got two different, but it's an even matchup. But they have two different skill sets and everything. I would love to see how long this would go. It would probably have to come down to a steel cage match, maybe even a Hell in a Cell, no disqualification, with kendo sticks, with steel chairs, with tables, and with ladders, and they have to go at it, and we'll figure out who escapes that cell with their championship around their waist. So if I had to put it to anybody, I would have to give it to Bigfoot. He's got the bigger name, and of course, the bigger name might have to go over in order to make the money for the wrestling company.
I agree with you. I think it's Sasquatch that takes out Dogman. I think it's going to end with a camel clutch. They're going to snap that back, break the back, make Dogman a little bit humble after running his canine teeth through the fence of the cage, because that's what we're going to do here. All right. Brian. Bryanovsky.
This has happened numerous times before. So there have been encounters where the Dogman, usually the Dogman starts it off by intruding into a Sasquatch territory. It disregards all the signs and symbols it knows that are there. And what happens is a Sasquatch takes it and puts that dogman back in the pound. I think the dogman having the long claws is very interesting, to be able to swipe at it. But you're talking about a giant primate for the most part, or if they have the same strength as a chimpanzee has and that size, and you just multiply it times 9-10 feet, it's going to rip the dogman's head off without even thinking about it. So dogman's dead, and Bigfoot is the victor.
I agree with you. Have you actually heard reports of dogman and Sasquatch fighting?
Yes. So there was a group of indigenous people that lived in a certain area, and I don't recall exactly where, but what was happening is that the dogmen were coming in and killing people. And that was on one side. They had dogmen on like their right and Bigfoot on their left. And the dogmen kept coming in and luring people out and killing them. And they kind of had enough of it. So what they did was they came up with a plan where they went into the Bigfoot territory and made something, I don't know what exactly it was, but they made it look like the dogmen came in and maybe killed one of their own. And the Bigfoot just blew up and literally went into the dogmen and just destroyed their den, destroyed them completely, and all the raiding that the indigenous tribe was receiving ceased at that point. So yeah, this has been recorded. I want to say it's in the someplace in the Midwest, northern Midwest, like near the border of Canada. But yes, this did happen, and it's been passed down different generations.
All right, Lynn, I know you're a closet wrestling fan. Talk to us here. What's going on in the wrestling ring? Sasquatch versus Dogman.
Well, I think we need to take a look at the varieties here. I mean, what kind of a Dogman are we talking about? Are we talking about a Chihuahua? Are we talking about, Rottweiler? Do we know what kind of breed this is of Dogman? Are there different types of breeds? But yes. I think I'm going to have to go with clearly. So I think I'm going to have to go with Sasquatch, because if you take, say, a silverback gorilla versus a Chihuahua, gorilla's going to win it every time. It's kind of where I'm going.
I think Dogman fights dirty, though. I think he fights dirty. I think he's ready to, when the ref isn't looking, to bite the nards of Bigfoot. I think that's a high possibility. I think he's going to have some sort of secret weapon inside his trunks, that he just pulls out and tries to knock Sasquatch out. I think he's going to chew off the turnbuckles, I don't know.
This is a family show. He needs to keep it in his trunks. And we go from there.
No, it's a family show.
Family show.
All right, Olaf Phillips, your thoughts, Dogman or Sasquatch?
I'm going Sasquatch. I think Dogman's got the speed, but I think Sasquatch has the power. I think it's if Sasquatch can grab him, I think he'd rip him apart.
Yep.
You're also dealing with something that's 8 to 10 feet tall. I mean, the comparison of the silverback gorilla versus a Chihuahua is pretty good. And if you've ever actually watched primates, they have an incredible amount of strength. So I think if he can get them, because that kind of speed, high metabolism, it's going to slow down, get tired, where Sasquatch is more of a duration player. So I think Sasquatch is going to tear his head off.
That's a nice.
I thought about this. I thought about it a lot. 5 minutes.
I think Sasquatch fights clean. I think he fights clean. I think literally, he goes in there. He's got the crowd behind him. Good theme music, probably from Ron Bumblefoot Thal. All right. Little Sasquatch is watching. And I think he fights clean. I really do. But that Dogman, you can't trust him. You can't trust him. Dogman reminds me of one of those guys who goes into the UFC matches and he's all cocky, and in the weigh-in he's like, right in your face, when they got the fists up and they're looking at each other for the stare down, and Dogman's got his big beak poking in on Bigfoot there, and mouthing him off and lipping him off. I think this goes Bigfoot. I think he's going to have none of that, and I think he's going to suplex the hell out of him. Can you imagine Dogman pulling an old Davey Boy Smith move and just holding him up in the air for like 10 minutes before slamming him down? Oh, it would be great. Ben, you're up, man.
I agree with you, Dave. I think Dogman fights dirty, and he's brought his boys with him because dogs are pack animals, okay?
Yes,
we know that Sasquatch do run sometimes in packs or herds, but in this scenario, I agree with you. Sasquatch fights clean, really clean. And Dogman doesn't give a shit. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Dave. Doesn't give a heck. Okay, so we look left, we look right. There's nothing in the trees. Dogman, Sasquatch facing each other. All of a sudden, there's a luminous shadow emerging from the forest floor. There's 14 other dogmen, and they all attack Sasquatch, and then, dogmen win. So
you're going with Dogman for fighting dirty.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Wow, 5-1 here. Lex, you're the pro here. What do you, after hearing all the stories here, what do you think?
Ooh, I'm thinking though, because Ben brought up a great point about Dogman fighting in pack and everything, right? And back in the Monday Night Wars in the 90s, there was the New World Order Wolfpack faction there. So it could be possible. It could be very, very possible that Dogman and Bigfoot have some sort of schmoz going on or some sort of like dirty thing going on. So Bigfoot turns against, Dogman will turn against his own pack and form a new pack with Bigfoot and become the New World Order, a paranormal, brother.
Oh, love that, dude.
Interesting.
I'm not prepared for that. I am not prepared for that.
Walking hand in paw, Sasquatch and Dogman.
Holy cow. On a serious note, let's talk some Sasquatch here, for instance.
Sure.
All right. I mean, the great debate still continues on whether or not this creature does have supernatural or paranormal abilities. But are we as researchers, or the researchers out there, are we breaking this creature down too far? Are we trying to break it down to the simplest common denominator, and is it working to advance the research, Brian?
No, it's not. I was originally in that camp where it was more primate and Gigantopithecus, and until I had an experience where there is no way something can go from point A to point B, which is being 2 miles down the road in an instant, without being able to manipulate something. And the best theory is, interdimensional. So I everything I thought about it at one point kind of blew up, and now I'm in a different camp, that woo side. I don't even like to call it woo, but I guess, if you want to call it that, call it. But we are breaking it down too much. And the problem we have in this whole type of community right now is you have the ones that will go the woo route versus the ones that are going the known animal route. And I say that this is its own species. It does what it does naturally. It's kind of like, try to explain to somebody how you learned how to breathe. You just did it. It does things in that vein. It just does it. And people that are on the ape side of it just can't get past something being there that is a new species.
How about you, Olive?
I don't know. I had an experience, and they looked very solid and to me, but I definitely fall into the Bigfoot as an ultra-terrestrial. Here where I live, there are actually stories from the indigenous people from this area that saw Bigfoot on an island out in the middle of the bay. And, the bay has sharks and it's currents and it's horrendous. I mean, Alcatraz was in the middle of it for a reason. You can't swim it. So the idea of Bigfoot, swimming a mile or half a mile to try to get off this island is pretty absurd. So, but there are Bigfoot that are actually sighted on this one island. So, the only way to get there, it would have to be ultra-terrestrial in nature.
Yep.
I think there is something special about it. I really do think it's something special. But I want to focus on the researchers here for a second because, much like we talked about the paranormal realm where everybody, has to have a title and everybody's trying to one-up each other, we see that a lot in the cryptid world as well. You have the people who are not looking at anything that has to do with the woo. You have them looking at just what this creature is from a scientific back point. But could this creature be a combination of both? That it's been here a long time, Ben, but it's also having some sort of supernatural ability that it can cloak itself, it can disappear, it can do whatever it has to do in order to survive.
Yeah, when that idea is attacked, it really kind of bums me out. Like there's some people out there that say that if you even think that it's ultra dimensional or can alter space and time and density, that you're completely discounting any scientific research that's been put into this subject. But I mean, man, if you're really trying to find out the truth, then you have to look at every aspect of it. That doesn't negate everything that's been scientifically studied about this creature that could totally exist. The fact that it might be able to alter reality in some way, or maybe move through density in a different way than what we can perceive as being normal or understand or comprehend in some way. Who's to say that that's not possible just because we don't understand it? I think it's totally possible. I like the visual of like oil and water. Like if you put oil on top of a glass of water, there's going to be little bubbles where you're going to be able to kind of dip into that water, but not completely manifest. I think Sasquatch, for me, from what I've been able to understand and gather from other people that are into this subject, is that there's a little bit of both, where it can dip into that water, it can dip into that oil, it can move through space and time with certain accounts with ease, and yeah, I just find it fascinating. But I think it's both.
I think it is both too. I think there is something very, very intriguing about it that we need to find out. But I mean, how do we prove it? How do we go on? I mean, I think there's a reason why we haven't found a body. Nature is very good at cleaning itself up, number one. Number two, predator animals are very good at scattering bones. And number three, there could be something very intriguing about this, that it's able to cross dimensions or use some sort of portal to appear and disappear in certain areas. I mean, when you have a 500-pound, 9.5-foot monster roaming through the forest, it makes noise, yet this thing doesn't. This thing will let you know when it's around. There's always this saying that I heard from a First Nations friend: you don't seek Sasquatch, Sasquatch seeks you.
Good saying.
Lynn, your thoughts?
I definitely agree with what Ben is saying. I think we need to kind of keep our minds open to all possibilities. We don't understand exactly what Bigfoot is right now or Sasquatch is right now. Like, so how could we say it is or isn't any one or all of these things? We just don't know. And when you were talking about, people say that the bodies haven't been found, I have always wondered. So we do know that Bigfoot is somewhat humanoid looking, right? We haven't found a skeleton, so we don't know what the skeleton looks like, but we have found giant skeletons, like human skeletons. How do we know those are not Bigfoot skeletons? I've always wondered that.
Ooh,
good question.
Yeah. Also, bear skulls and bones are really, really hard to come by. I mean, I don't know if you guys know any hunters that hunt bear. I don't personally, but I listen to a lot of Steve Ranella, and he said it's like the most rare skull you can find in the wild. To find a bear skull.
A lot of times in association with Bigfoot itself, they are known to be very clan oriented, and they stay together. They look out for each other, no matter how young or old they are. I mean, who's to say they don't actually, when they're here physically, they don't bury it someplace, and it's once they go through the burial process, it's rumored to be true that they do have a burial site or burial mounds for them. But I always go look back into them going interdimensional. Unless we have a physical Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, we can't test these theories out. There's no way. So anybody's researching this that's not in the know on a black project that has a physical Sasquatch in their office or whatever, it's all hypothesis. So you always have to keep those up there, no matter what, because my research can change my opinion in a heartbeat because I find something new that brings me back to A. I think we have to be more open to this.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Lex,
Yes,
if you were going to go out and have an interest in studying Sasquatch, besides trying to figure out how you can make $1 million off of getting it into the squared circle on a contract with Vince McMahon, I want to ask you, in regards to this creature, you don't have a lot of forests around Toronto and Mississauga where this is, but if you go into northern Ontario, there are a lot of sightings of this mythical creature, and especially in the lakesides areas, which is just, about an hour and a half north of you. If you were to go looking into the forest and you saw one of these creatures, as someone who would be a rookie in having this type of sighting, which most of us are, by the way, what do you think you would do? How would you react?
I would think, first of all, that I'm the kind of person that kind of that kind of has that little that jump scare inside of me, and it's something that I can't control necessarily. So if I did see Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever name they would go by, there would be a part of me that'd be just like, whoa, I've never seen this before, and I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But at the same time, this is kind of funny because I was walking to my local A&W from my house, and it's there are a whole bunch of birds that are around it basically.
Hold on, time out 1 second. How much is an A&W burger in if you got a Mama burger or mozzarella burger? How much is that in Toronto?
How much is that in Toronto? Oh man, depends. I mean, like the last week they had like a $3.99 coupon basically.
I know they did.
You
for a
can't
cheeseburger.
You can't put a price on glory, Dave.
No, you can, because I'll tell you, my friend and I went to A&W in my town because we're quite capped on the fast food a couple of weeks ago. Cost me $19.70 for 2 burgers, no fries, no combos, no drinks, no onion rings, nothing.
What?
2 burgers, $19.70.
Wow.
You need to move to Canada. That's like
kidding?
$10.
I tell you, A&W bent me over and shoved that big brown bear right up there by Keister in order to get my money for the $20. It happened.
That's why you got to go and get the coupons online and make sure you can can save that good $3. But if I were
too much to pay for a burger, but
I live in the wrong country. That's what, like $10 US, Dave?
I think it's about $6 US, but that's another story.
You need to move. And I live in California, which is even more expensive.
Right? Right? Oh, hold on here, guys, because I kind of screwed up here. Yes.
you can't perceive him because we don't have the hardware, you guys. There he is.
Yeah. You know what? I accidentally hit a button. I hit a button and it flicked me off, and I'm like, oh crap, like what do I do? What do I do? Like this hasn't happened before. But it happens. We got less than a minute here, guys, before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, and then we'll kick off hour number 3 of everything, and we'll figure out the topic for them. We got Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. We have Lynn Wallington. She's our resident witch and new Saturday night host on Spaced Out Radio. From UFO Garage Podcast on YouTube, we got Super Ben. He usually wears a cape, but not tonight. And you know what? If you're not subscribed to UFO Garage, you really need to be. From Mississauga, Ontario, parts unknown, weight unknown, we got Lex Tan. He is the host of Ringside Heat on Saga 960 AM, one of the great radio stations that broadcasts us. He's joining us for the roundtable, and he's got a great radio show as well. And the man with literally, no word of a lie, 2,300 podcasts that are running at the same time. He's going to go host a podcast right during the break. Brian Bowden, right there. When we come back, let's debate intuition, psychic ability. There's a lot of fraudsters out there. How do you know a real one from a fake one? We'll find out on Spaced Out Radio. I'm El Ovni Volador, and I'm getting out of here. All right, we're clear.
Dude, I just want to say, Brian, like, you pull that mask off so well, dude.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I got to step away for a minute. I'll be right back.
Who let the
I got to go
dog
find
out?
Dave. I hate you people, so I'm leaving.
Who let the nicotine? Who?
I was about to say that, like, on my way to the A&W, that literally two birds were wrestling each other. Like I don't know how the heck this happened, but they were actually wrestling each other. And and when I saw that, I was like, I got my phone. I tried to set it up as quick as possible. I set it as quick as possible in order to record this happening. But I think the birds knew that that it was a work because as soon as I got up my phone, they flew away and they were just all friendly and stuff.
Dude, okay. It is springtime, so were they wrestling or
Ooh.
Maybe
Well,
nobody likes to be filmed.
Scientifically, they were both the same color. But then again, this is 2021, so anything can happen, you know?
Anything can happen, man.
I mean, there's some stories about Bigfoot that in the springtime and liberating campers and whatever. It's not pleasant.
Wow. I mean, the way you just like navigated that was impressive.
No, you're talking about birds. You talk about springs. We just talked about Bigfoot.
No. I meant the way you navigated that without saying anything offensive in any way. That was impressive. That I haven't heard that though. That's
yeah. I've heard through the guy that I investigate with. We go together, and he's met a couple of people. One of his cousins is a park ranger, like a U.S. park ranger, out in the one of the big parks, and she told the story to him once that they were there, and this guy comes in, and my wife was taken by Bigfoot.
Yeah,
and then they looked, and she came back, and the woman swears that Bigfoot had his way with her. It was just like, I'm like, you got to give me this person. Let's get her on camera right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa.
There's a documentary out, obviously about Bigfoot, but yeah, there are these Bigfoot investigators that are talking about pheromones and certain types of the year have a big deal, and like you want to, I mean, without trying to like offend anybody, like they're the guys that said it, but they were like, right. You should bring a female with you. That's like, whoa.
So we have a spot that we go to in New York State where we had an experience, and then my buddy, he brought one of the last times he went out there, he brought 3 women with him, and one other guy that he really didn't want to go, but the guy traveled all the way he heard us on the radio, and so the guy comes in, and these 3 women are there, and there must have been very young Sasquatch there because all he heard was a lot of monkey chatter. And one of the questions we ask people that go on investigations with us in the woods in certain situations is what your cycle's like, because that could be very detrimental to the health and well-being of everybody, especially, it's not just Bigfoot or a dog man. It's mountain lion, it's bear. They smell it too.
Whoa.
And So you want to protect the people coming with you as well as yourself. The general rule is bring someone that doesn't run faster than you. I mean, that's basically it. So, which is messed up, but it's like, no, we have other things that we bring. But if an investigator or a person that's coming is going through their cycle, that could really amp up, like a Bigfoot in a rut situation. It could be bad, and you don't want to put yourself in that kind of situation at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
it makes it real.
weird.
It makes it real, like tangible.
That idiot changed my name.
That idiot changed my name.
Yes. Oh my god.
Hey now. Yeah,
He's such a jerk. I apologize for him. He didn't say anything stupid, did he?
Not that I know of.
No, he's just going to get each one of us a Raptor. Something about getting a Ford Raptor for each one of us tonight.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I'm from Toronto, and I appreciate Raptors,
With all this, I mean, we are on Spaced Out Radio. When you said Raptor, I thought literally like, hey, let's go cryptid Raptor. Like, I'm open to it. I want to know more.
Anything can happen, and I go in there, when we have events and we actually get evidence, and I'm reviewing the evidence for our group, or when I did a CE5 in Pine Bush 2 years ago, after the Pine Bush UFO Festival, we had 100 people there, and we actually had a craft appear above our heads. I'm blown away just as much as everybody else is there, because the probability of that happening is very, very slim. So I get excited. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we have a craft here, and you have 100 witnesses, which is great. So yeah. It just takes you back, and you're like, did that just happen? Weird stuff.
All right, guys, we got 25 seconds left. I want to say a big thank you to Josh, Vidster, Dirty Filth, Olaf ×2, Cat Chaser ×2, Andrew, Ibarata, Ed, for the amazing super chats and love and support of this show. Also to all our new subscribers who have clicked on in. We really do appreciate that. And here we go with the third and final hour.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kefalonomancy. Kefalonomancy is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the SOR Roundtable. If we look at our panel, we got a great one tonight from UFO Garage Podcast. We got Big Bad Ben from Spaced Out Radio. We have Lynn Wallington. She is going to be hosting our Saturday show. And, of course, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. From Ringside Heat on Saga 960, we have Lex Tan. I'm excited about that show. I really am. And literally, the man who has 3,333 podcasts out there, Brian M. Bowden. How y'all doing? Thank you so much for joining us. And, there's a lot of people out there who go to psychics, mediums, intuitives to try and figure out what their future may be. Could it be reading about relationships, a new job, or maybe it's about, trying to figure out life in general, because there's a lot of people out there who have a black cloud that continually hovers over them, and they want to know when that black cloud is going to go away. Lynn, I want to start with you on this one. How does somebody choose the right intuitive rather than finding someone who's just going to milk them for a bunch of money?
Well, I mean, you're talking to a witch who works in Salem, Mass, so this is kind of our bread and butter here. But I would say ask people, get recommendations. If you go to someone and it's just, one, if they're just saying things that are scaring you, they're probably not real. They're probably just trying to make money. And, go with your gut. If it doesn't feel right, then go to someone else.
But how do you tell? How do you tell if it feels right or not?
Well, I think that's personal, like to each person. So I guess it would be like if you eat a hamburger and does it feel right or not, you kind of know, go with your gut. So, but I would say the best piece of advice I could give is ask someone for a recommendation. And, if they have someone that they trust, that's always the best way that you can find someone.
All right. Ben, have you ever been to a psychic medium?
No, I've always wanted to, though.
Yeah, would you go?
I'd be so down to go. I'd love to do it. Yeah. So what's the process like? I mean, I've only seen it on like movies and TV, but I've always wanted to go. There's a place right off of 35, kind of like half a mile from my house, that I've always wanted to go to. It has like the neon hands and all the stars and moons, and it's been there forever. Like since I was a kid, we used to drive by it on the way to basketball games and stuff. And I've always wanted to go, but I've never done it just because I've heard so many things about they're just scam artists or whatever. But I would love to do it.
What would you want to find out?
I don't know, man. I guess yeah, see, I think I have a bias about it. I kind of already would step into it thinking that they're just reading micro actions in my face and stuff, and I'm always smiling and I don't know. If I was sleeping, maybe, or if I was really tired or just not having it that day, maybe that might be a good moment for me to walk in there where I'm kind of expressionless. But yeah, I guess I would want to know, am I on the right track? Is you go? Yeah.
I was just going to say the best thing to do is don't give them anything. If they say, "What do you want to know?" Just say, "Well, tell me me what you're getting." If you're giving them any topic, then you always run that risk. But if you just say, "Well, tell me what you're getting, what you're receiving, what information," and you give them nothing, that's a good way to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually, I'm just, as you're saying that, I had a memory. Me and Joe went to, this is where we met Dave, was at UFO Con last year, right before the pandemic. We were in this, there's a term for it, but it's where people sell things or set up booths and stuff at conferences. And we came across this wonderful, wonderful person. She had a couple of books and she had some jewelry, and she approached us and said, "Hey, I'm getting some really strong vibes from you," talking to me and Joe, which Joe just emits, awesomeness, and he's such an awesome, nice guy. But in that moment, I was just kind of not feeling it. I think I was a little hungover, to be honest. But but she approached us and she said, "Hey, I just have a feeling I need to read you guys. Can I tell you what I'm getting from you?" That was a nice experience. So I guess if we're talking in that sense, I guess I have been read in some way, but it was more like a interdimensional alien. We've got some guardians. She told us what kind of guardians we have, and mine was a tall white mantis that was kind of hugging me. I guess I thought it was kind of cool. But she did also tell Joe that he was he has dwarf people kind of like protecting him, which I mean,
Wow,
that makes
look at
sense.
Joe.
I mean, like she like went into detail, like, yeah, so I'm getting this feeling that you like to be in the dirt and you like to be close to the ground, which Joe does landscaping, like really beautiful landscaping, and he does work with rocks and soil, and he grows trees and just does an amazing job with that stuff. So she was spot on with that. She told me like I was all over the place, and I'm pretty spot on with that too.
How about for you, Olaf?
Well, I mean, I have, I know some people who do tarot cards and divination and other things. One of the things that I find is very consistent with what Lynn was saying is that, don't give them anything. The people I know that genuinely have a capability, they come to you. I have friends and they will literally like send me a message and go, you need to know something. Or, and in one case, wanted an explanation of why something was happening. And we said why something was happening. And then, my friend just went on a deep dive of exactly why and nailed it spot on. So, don't give them any information. If they have neon lights, probably not a good idea. Get a referral, but again, I have a friend, she does tarot card readings. She's exceptionally talented. She feels things and gets messages, and she'll just send you a message and go, hey, you need to know this. But in her case, as she's shuffling the deck, because she's partial to tarot cards, as she's shuffling the cards, I watched it multiple times on Skype. The cards literally jump out of the deck. I cannot explain to you why it happens. I can give you the occultist explanation of why it happens, but the cards literally, for lack of a better term, fly out of the deck. She's just mixing them up and they're popping out. So, she's usually pretty right on. But yeah, I would ask for, I've definitely gotten multiple tarot card readings. I mean, I know somebody who created their own tarot card deck, multiple decks. So, it's, but they usually come to you, and I would get a referral from somebody you know and trust.
How about you, Lex? Have you ever decided that you wanted to get a psychic reading?
I've always been interested in it, but I think that earlier on I actually possibly had some sort of what maybe may not be quote unquote psychic reading, but I was at a previous job. I stayed there for a few years, and my boss actually was I guess for lack of a better term, a Catholic mystic. And this lady, she has this uncanny way of knowing stuff about you that you have never said to her at all. There's and it was freaky because because I remember when she hired me and I got to know her a little bit better. I didn't really disclose a lot of things, but then she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And just yeah, what's up? And she said, well, this blah, 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 blah. This is what you got. This is what's happening to you right now, isn't it? And I'm just like, I never told you that. How did you know? God told me. And I was just like, right. And so that's, and she ended up actually kind of predicting a few things about the way my life was going to go. And it's crazy how that kind of comes true in this sort of sense. But at the same time, there were also things that she also kind of held back as well, and she had to let me find that out for myself. I guess in a sense, it's there's something I got to tell you. There's something I want to tell you, but I cannot. I wish I could, but I cannot tell you. And you have to go, and whatever this is happening, you have to go through it in order for it to go through, for you to find out. And I'm just and that's when I get a little bit skeptical. But at the same time, it was crazy to see that a person who would be quote unquote Catholic and or practicing Catholic would have those kind of same abilities that are quote unquote not Catholic. So,
Well, before I bring Brian in, one of the things that I have a concern with psychic people, and please, anybody on the panel, correct me if I'm wrong, but have you ever noticed that psychic people can predict the negative really, really fast? Like in the next 2 weeks, you're going to, have some trauma that happens real close to you. The next thing you know, your child breaks their arm or your best friend gets in a car accident. They're really good at predicting the negative, but everything positive is always 3, 6, 9, 12 months away. And when you reach that 3, 6, 9, 12 months and nothing happens, then they're like, well, there was some sort of Mercury retrograde that screwed it up, and you're still 3, 6, 9, 12 months away, and you just waited a damn year for something good to happen, and now you got to wait another year because of Mercury retrograde, or because you stepped on a snail on the sidewalk and crushed it, and this always happens. And not all psychics are like that. I don't want to lump them into one here, but for a lot of them, they cannot predict anything good whatsoever, and it never happens. It's always that timeline away. If I had told you guys how many times I had psychics telling me your show is going to take off within the next 4 months, or within the next 8 months, or within the next year, you're going to pick up 40 radio stations, I would be a millionaire right now. I would be a millionaire on Spaced Out Radio. I wouldn't have to work 2 jobs. And I'll be honest with you, I'm quite sensitive to this. I'm kind of PO'd about this. Okay? It bugs me. It bugs me bad. All right? But we have these people out there who, look, they get intuitive feelings. I get intuitive feelings. I really, really want to believe. And a lot of people are desperate for answers. Maybe they have a loved one that has recently passed away. Maybe they lost their job. They have 3 children to feed, and they don't know when that next paycheck's coming in because during COVID, there's not a lot of jobs. There's a lot of desperate people out there. And I think a lot of psychics are preying on that or getting the negative on that and not having the ability to sell a lot of positive. Am I right or am I wrong? Anybody?
100%. You are correct. 100%.
I disagree.
But
that's why I like tarot cards, right? Because tarot cards, it's a finite thing. You mix them up, they pop out. In my friend's case, they fly out, and you interpret the card as it lands, and it's not really negotiable. And it's not. There's good, there's bad, there's mediocre. But I don't think that's entirely true. I mean, the people I know, they shy away from predictions that are 6 months or a year or 2 years away. They do things that are more immediate. And they've told me good things and they've told me bad things. But it's usually fairly soon. They're only looking or attempting to look in the general time vicinity. Because I think, Lynn can probably speak to it better. But I think for me, the way I see it is that, what they're showing you is a possible outcome of many.
Yes.
And what you're seeing is the most likely possible outcome. This is true of divination of any kind, right? If I go into a trance, right, and I seek guidance from the secret chiefs and they show me something, it's become clear to me over time that they're showing me the most likely possibility, but not the only possibility. Right. So maybe a weaker grade psychic can only see that one option, but the ones that are more powerful, they'll tell you very upfront, there are 3 possible endpoints depending on the decisions that you make, because no matter what you do, and this to the Catholic mystic as well, you have free will. And so free will affects the outcome. So I do disagree. I mean, I've seen it myself, but I have a tendency to like the tarot card readings because it's a lot less negotiable. There is some negotiation in the interpretations of the cards, but a death card means what a death card means, and it doesn't mean death. It means change. But you don't, and whether it's upside down or right side up, it's not really, negotiable.
So I've been to many different psychics, some of which are tarot readers, and I think what you're talking about, Dave, is not necessarily the individuals that have gifts by reading cards. I have a friend that reads. You just keep flipping over a regular deck of cards, and you got to record the order, and she is spot on. But in the case of psychics, someone you've never met that's going, your old gypsy fortune teller, anybody that goes with the negative, in general, as soon as they start off, they're in there for the money. In your case, when you went to when you guys were at that conference and the woman approached you, most people that are legit, that they're picking you up, and of course you're going to meet people like this at conferences, are a little bit more legit coming to you. Like if she said, well, for $20 I'll tell you the rest, then I would have walked away. But I know that every person that is listening to this show, every person that exists, has the ability to do exactly this. Has the ability of foresight. The more you use it, it's like a muscle. I do something called remote viewing, but I've been told by another psychic, two of them, one of which out of Canada, Katie Turner, that I should do more readings for people, but I don't want to come off as a Miss Cleo, call me now. I don't want to do that. But I did do a reading for somebody, and I said, I don't want to know their names. I don't want, just tell me what your situation. He told him what was going on. He wanted to meet this girl, bad breakup, whatever. And I can only tell you as if I know my own name. The stuff just started coming to me. And he was blown. How do you know this? How do you know this? And I was telling him everything. And I said, and I left off and said that he was going to meet her. I said, but pay attention. The future is always fluid. Don't think you're going to sit on your butt and magic's going to happen. You have to keep going through what you've been going through in order for that future to possibly come out. Okay? That's where it changes. And I was straight up and honest with them. And I've also had these type of things in the middle of the night. You have these dreams. It's more interactive. You wake up like you've been up all night. One recently was about a year ago where I dreamt one of my fraternal brothers. He was going to have a heart attack or die. I saw his kids. They said he's fine. He's recovering. I called. I don't normally do this. I called him the next day. I said, look, you got to go to your doctor. And I explained to him what I saw. And lo and behold, a month later, he blew a stent, almost died.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm like, when it gets to something like when I get something that's affecting someone, like someone can get hurt or die, I tell them immediately. I don't care what they think of what I'm telling them. I got to get that information to them. But in general, there's a lot of con artists and there's a lot of people that make stuff up.
Well, and don't forget, though, that negative also brings prosperity for the psychic person if they're in it for the money. All right? Because when you tell people when things are going to be good, that money well dries up. It dries up very quickly. Now, I'm not saying that all psychics are like that. I have no problem with psychics making a living off of their God-given abilities. I do believe psychics do exist. I do believe that intuition exists. I've made predictions myself of friends that they have been blown away by, and I've had predictions made of me that I've been blown away by. All right? But if you're out there and you're one of those people who is, you better start booking, like you're a chiropractor where you need to start coming 2 to 3 days a week because your chakras are so screwed up that the only way that you can get them cleaned is if you come see me 2-3 days a week. And by the way, I charge $160 an hour. That's a lot of money. And there's a lot of desperate people for desperate times in their lives that will do anything for a change, no matter what the cost. And those people are scumbags. They really are scumbags, right? And we got to help the public because there's a lot of people out there who don't know. They really don't know when they're being taken advantage of. Last year there was a lady in Washington State who was arrested by police for literally scamming a a desperate housewife who lost her husband of $75,000.
Dude.
$75,000. And there was one just caught in New York for about 50 grand.
Go there.
You know, they're out there. They really
pop
are.
up all the time. They do. They pop up all the time. This is, you know, growing up in New York, you got to have like more streetwise behavior. You got to know about 3-Card Monte and all the scams. And this is just part of it. And let me tell you something. If you're in sales or interacting with people, you could read body language like that.
Very true.
And you don't have to tell anybody. You walk in there and the person A is wearing a Rolex. Okay, let's go. Guess what's going to happen to you next week?
All right, guys, I got to get you to hold on. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We are joined by Ringside Heat's Lex Tan. We got Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. We have the man with 2,888 podcasts, Brian Bowden from UFO Garage Podcast. We got Ben, the lovely and talented Lynn Wallington, who really wants to eat a real bucket of ice cream right now, and myself, Dave Scott. We'll be back with the final half hour of the roundtable when we return. All right, we're clear.
Does anybody not want to eat a bucket of ice cream right now?
I want a bucket of brisket right now.
Right. Well, I had that
you
for
say
lunch.
Brisket? I'm with you.
Delicious.
Brisket, yeah.
I had Taco Bell for dinner, and I am happy.
I had sushi.
Yeah.
I thought you were joking about that, Dave.
No.
Like, did someone actually send you?
I actually took pictures.
Damn it, man! The Taco
Pictures
Bell.
of Taco Bell. What the hell's that?
Oh, you know, when I see this, we go through the whole thing when you're announcing everybody. I get this flashback to like Match Game 79. Wait, you know, that's the feeling I get. It's like a really bad Match Game TV show.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah. Who's Paul Lynde?
I love it, Dave. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, dude. Like the video aspect of this thing is just so fun, dude. I'm stoked, man. I think it's like people get to put the like a face to the name or voice or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it just happened so recently. We started looking into live streaming and doing multiple people. Like, I think it's all kind of just happening at once. It's really fun to see.
Use StreamYard.
Yeah. So
Brian
this is awesome.
Brian taught me StreamYard, and I was literally at the point of an anxiety attack. He taught me, and this just happened this past Sunday. He taught me StreamYard, and within 15 minutes, I got it.
Dude, that's impressive.
It's super easy. It's within competition to Zoom, but it's easier to get it done.
Oh,
and you can do it on your phone better.
We were trying to. I had spent an hour on the phone previous to picking up the phone with Brian, and trying to hook up Zoom through OBS.
That's exactly what.
Dude.
Delete.
Brian is 100% correct.
Get
like
rid of it.
I already put it this way. I've been on this for 4 days. Okay, 4 days, and I've already trained Lynn how to do it.
Bro,
Yeah.
like Dave, you just said my story. Ask Joe. I spent a week trying to figure out Zoom audio because you could get the video, but not the audio.
Yeah.
Give him my information, Dave. We'll get it done.
Yeah. All you need is 15 minutes with Brian.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
And you will be on StreamYard. It's like $29 a month.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, it's probably the best $29 investment I've made in Spaced Out Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like $20-something a month if you went up, unless you went up to the higher one. But it's the middle plan. If you look at the plans, the middle one, you get up to 10 people. I highly recommend you leave it around 6.
Yeah.
And you'll get bandwidth properly. But it's really so easy. A Bigfoot could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
what about
I may not have as much hair as Bigfoot, but I definitely would appreciate a crash course of that, though.
Sure, just give my information. That'll be on my next podcast, number 19,000. I only have 3 though, but 19,000. Yeah, I'll help anybody out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's so worth it to get. First of all, it's easier to send somebody a link instead of like, well, we've got to connect on Facebook. So send me a message, and I'm like, forget it.
You know what? Honestly, I've been stressing for about a year over the putting everything on video, literally a year. And all that stress literally left my body after 15 minutes of Brian setting me up on StreamYard.
Ooh. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hi, D. Swagger. How are you? Welcome back. Hey, Olin. How are you? By the way, the gorgeous and talented Tristan Stevens says, I like Ben's energy.
Ooh.
There you go.
I've got too much sometimes. Sorry, you guys. I got to tame it a little bit.
Bachelor number 1. Tell him your name.
Never, ever tame it, man. You and Joe are fantastic. I love you guys.
I know I'm missing him tonight, man. I'm like bummed that he's not here, but I'm having a blast with you guys.
Yeah, man.
You guys got a great show. Honestly, the UFO Garage kicks major.
Yeah, it does. Hey, you got Lou Elizondo coming on, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
I can't believe what? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay. You have to ask him. How come it sounded like on Spaced Out Radio that you've seen aliens before?
Dude, I actually made a TikTok from your show, Dave. I took a screenshot of your interview with Lou Elizondo, and I posted on TikTok. It was the moment you straight up said it. Like, you got to. So tell us about the aliens. Like,
hey, we'll talk about it after the show. We got 30 seconds, and I haven't got a topic yet. So let's figure it out right now. We passed the final hour, and we're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Rounding third, heading for home. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We do really appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet that we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America as well, because we absolutely love you guys, as well as digitally around the world. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce our panel of the SOR Roundtable, and man, do we got a great crew here for you tonight from UFO Garage Podcast on YouTube. You want to hit up the subscribe button for that. We got Ben. We got Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. From Ringside Heat Radio on Saga 960, Lex Tan. The gorgeous and talented Lynn Wallington, who is taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. We have her. And the man with 8,332 podcasts, Brian Bowden, is here as well. And everyone, going into the final half hour here, one of the things I love is monsters. My son thinks it's absolutely cool that when I say to him, son, we're going riding in the side-by-side on Sunday, and we're going to go look for some monsters. He's like right there. He thinks it's so cool that Dad goes out and looks for monsters, like Bigfoot and whatever.
Yes.
And, outside of Bigfoot, outside of Dogman, Brian, we're going to start with you on this one.
Sure.
What is the most underrated cryptid in North America that we should spend more time looking for?
Right now, it's flying humanoids, or otherwise known as Mothman. And they're making a surging comeback. especially in the Chicago area. But Mothman's been seen in more places, almost equivalent to as many spots as Bigfoot's been seen, or a flying humanoid, with the glowing eyes. And it's an interesting cryptid. And I'm one of the theories why there's such a high concentration actually right now in the Chicago area is because I believe they've been using FermLab. It's the first ever collider. Forget Geneva, go to Chicago, and they turned that on in about mid 1990s, and then all hell started breaking loose. And just after they turned it on and kind of turned it off quickly in 2000s, the Mandela effect started. So I think there's a lot of these flying cryptids that we should be checking out.
Can I cut you off there? I
Sure.
had a Mandela effect happen yesterday. It tripped me out. So here I am preparing for David Weatherly on the show. And I'm scrolling through social media on Instagram. And I see this book title of his come out about sea monsters of the Great Lakes. And I'm like pumped up because I loved the one thing with David is we've hit so many topics over the years. I'm like, this is something new. I'm pumped up about it. And he says to me after I read my intro to the show, he's like, I hate to break your heart, man, but I don't have a book like that. What? I don't have a book that's out like that. And I swear on my children's lives, I read that right on Facebook, that he had a book, Sea Monsters of the Great Lakes was the title, and by David Weatherly. And he says, dude, I've never written that book. I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, I know the subject, be a great book to write, but I haven't written it yet, nor have I thought about it.
Well, I'm going to contend to say with you that since they started playing around with colliders, there has been a rip in a tear in different dimensions, different worlds that exist. And the collider itself has forced a tear between what we've known growing up and what is another world now. So when they stop playing with it for a little bit, it heals itself, and that's why you're having the Mandela type effect. Because that David Weatherly, in our original timeline, did write that book, in my opinion, but in this timeline, he's never heard of it.
It was the weirdest thing, man.
It's buggy, isn't it?
Honestly, I'm like, come on, Dave. I just saw it like 2 hours ago. I just saw it. And he's like, no, man. He goes, I haven't written that book. He goes, go look at my catalog. And I go look at the catalog, and there's like nothing there. And I can't find it anywhere now. Can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Went back to my Instagram looking for it. Can't find it. All right.
Well,
so you got Mothman.
I got Mothman.
All right. Let's go over to Lynn. Lynn.
Well, I don't know if this is technically a cryptid, but I think they're interesting, and the name is fun. The puckwedgies that are here in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I don't know if they're in other areas as well, but they're just kind of these mischievous little creatures in Native American folklore, I guess you could say, but they believe they're real. And a lot of other people, like some of the paranormal investigators around here, also believe they're real. And so it's just like this weird little furry kind of mischievous creature thing. So
I've got to know more about that.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
They're like smaller than
you.
Ewoks. They're smaller than Ewoks.
So cute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
but they'll bite your
cute.
ankles off.
They're not cute.
They're like gremlins, man. They're like hairy gremlins that just want to rip your face off.
Oh.
Well, not necessarily rip your face off, but they're mischievous. I mean, they may push you off a cliff, but maybe they had a bad day.
Is it like are they pack mentality? Is this like multiple? What did you call them?
They're puckwedgie is the name of it.
Puckwedgies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're pack mentality. I'll see what I can find and send it to you.
They're elementals.
I want to add something to my story because Kira in the chat room actually sent something to me about what happened, because yesterday she actually got a video, Brian, of two of my shows crossing over at once on her feed.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
two
talking
different
about.
audio tracks, and then she
I
got the
see
video clip, and she sent it to me, and it was it's weird stuff right now, weird stuff right now. I don't know what's going on.
Mandela effect.
Swear, I
Are we
just
talking like right now? Like the live feed is?
no. This was yesterday.
Oh,
This was yesterday. Totally weird.
do
Totally
you
weird.
guys? Do y'all think it's like? I mean, is it dumb to say like maybe it's CERN messing with their effects with dark matter and learning?
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was saying. See, the original collider was in Chicago. That's the first collider that was created and used, large collider. Okay, and they started about 1994. It's they were planning it from the 60s, but it went live 1994. When it ended, which was roughly about 2008 or 2010, is if you look back at it, the first Mandela effect, where it was named from, this one researcher named it because she thought Mandela died, happened about 2009, 2010. And I mean, I can tell you everything that they tell you about the Mandela effect with the Monopoly guy, with Star Wars. I remember it. C-3PO's all gold.
Kit Kat.
All of that stuff. So I think it was when they were playing with this matter and these particles and they were doing things, not knowing what they're doing, they're experimenting, they actually caused a tear in space-time and different timelines. We're being in one of them, and we mix in with another one. And there's so many other elements you can throw in there why it can be this way. Because most people born up to a certain point will remember the things like, Luke, I'm your father. But people born after that 2010 are not going to remember that. And if you want to go back to Michael J. Fox, for example, in Back to the Future, remember when he's playing guitar and he sees him fading away? Well, even though he got his parents together, he did screw something up. And now when he goes back in real time, he's rich, or his parents are. All these little things, it's the butterfly effect along with the Mandela effect. So I think not only is it allowing these memories, false memories to take place, which are real accurate memories, but I think it's allowing multiple different types of cryptids like Mothman to be able to come in and out of dimensions now, or into our timeline, when they weren't able to before.
Interesting. Lex, let's get your take. What kind of cryptid monster would you like to go hunting for?
Ooh.
And you can't say George the Animal Steel.
I'm looking up a list of the cryptics over here, or cryptids rather, and the one that kind of goes out in my mind is the great spider, I have to say. Not that, and it's partly because I kind of like that whole being freaked out a little bit, because as I was saying with Bigfoot earlier. But I remember playing a video game from way back in the day where there's this giant spider web, and then you'd have to find a way to like cut through it so that you don't disturb the great spider in order to get the treasure out from there. I would love to. I'm in terms of cryptids, I would love to see that. But in the Philippines, we have a lot of these, a lot of similar things. We would have to say maybe mythological creatures, for lack of a better term, but they could be cryptids. I don't know. I'm not exactly an expert on that either. But in terms of somebody I would like to meet, they're called the Diwata. It's actually derived from the Sanskrit word Devata, and apparently, according to what I'm reading here, they're fair-skinned, they're good-looking, sometimes blonde-haired. They reside in large trees such as the acacia and baleta tree, and tend to be resentful of humanity's intrusion into their realm. So I would love to get I would love to be able to pick the brain of a Diwata and just wonder why, what's going on, what can we ever get along as a human and a I guess a cryptid.
That's an interesting question. Can that happen? I have no idea. I love Azrael's answer in the chat room. Keith Richards is his choice.
That's a great answer.
Keith Richards, everyone.
Yes. He is the immortal one.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
That guy's impossible. Like, how is he alive? How is he alive?
Keith Richards and his old lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
still around.
All right. Olaf, you're cryptid.
Well, I have three, and one I actually am really kind of a bit obsessed with. I would like to see a spectral large black cat that lives in a mountain near my house. It actually is why the mountain is named what it is. It's called Mount Diablo, and it's the mountain of the devil. And that's because when the Spaniards conquered this area, the indigenous people would run up the mountain, and they would disappear into the forest. And then this black jaguar, black cat, would come down the slope and run off or kill the Spaniards. And they thought it was the incarnation of the devil. It's close to my house, so I'm always fascinated by it. The Fresno Nightcrawler, because it's just the weirdest damn thing I've ever seen a picture of. The Fresno Nightcrawler is just so bizarre looking that it would be fun. But the one that I actually plan to go try to find, they're called the Watchers, and they're basically people dressed in black that stand on top of rocky cliffs and outcroppings and on top of rocks and in places, and they just watch. They just stare, and they're seen along the coast here in California, down into the central coast and the southern coast, and in some remote areas. So I'm planning to go down there and try to find them.
Very cool. Very cool.
By the way, I want to make one comment about the Mandela effect. So one of the things that's been hotly debated is a holographic universe and this notion that we live in a simulator. And, I myself have seen glitches in the Matrix where you see out of the corner of your eye, vibrations and like trees fading in and out, trees being there and then disappearing, all of us, all that kind of glitchy Matrix kind of stuff. I actually subscribe more to the theory that it is a byproduct of the Mandela effect. And if he's correct, and it was when Fermilab fired up, or CERN or SLAC here, we have the Stanford Linear Accelerator where they collide all kinds of crap. I think what we're seeing in those moments, and it's happened quite a number of times, I think when we're seeing these phase shiftings and weird things happening, I've seen it not in the corner, like in front of me, is I go a lot of road trips, and we'll get out in the middle of nowhere, and you'll see literally like trees fade out and then fade back. I think it may be that kind of boundary layer between the dimensions, not so much the concept of the veil, but like that boundary layer between the dimensions breaking down for a minute or two or a second or whatever. So, that I do think that all this glitch in the Matrix stuff that we hear about, I think it's actually directly related, and I have seen it. So,
Philadelphia experiment is a great example of that glitch in the Matrix.
Exactly.
They play around with things they don't know what they're dealing with. The next thing you know, half your body's inside a full metal side of a ship,
right? Because
it can't come back together again. You're messing around with things. So
yeah, and there are a lot of at least here there's a distinct difference between flying humanoids and Mothman, and there are a lot more sightings of Mothman. But here and down in the southwest, they actually you can actually see literally people standing upright vertically flying through the air, and there's tons of films of it. People have seen it, and it's weird. But again, could be something, and it argues that Mothman and Bigfoot and a lot of these cryptids are interdimensional in nature. The ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, which I'm a big fan of. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to give you my cryptid here. And my cryptid is seen all around North America. But First Nations people and indigenous people really deal with them, and that is the little people. These are little pranksters, tricksters, 18 inches to 2 feet tall, said to live in mountain communities that are blocked off where they will, if you find them, they will attack you. They will go for you. And if you're in an area all alone, sometimes they call for you. And that happened to a friend of mine, Mike, where he was out hunting and he heard my name in my voice being called, my voice calling his name in the middle of the forest. There was nobody around, and I'm 20 minutes away at work, and he's hearing my voice come right through the forest all around him. He said it wasn't in one direction. It was coming all around him. Mike, help me. I'm over here. I'm in here. Come on over here.
Yep.
And it was all around him. And he was like, nope, I'm out. I am out. But
good idea.
But I asked because skinwalkers and wendigos are allegedly creatures that do the same thing. However, talking to one of the First Nations elders here recently about this, I asked him, are there skinwalkers or wendigos here? And he's like, no, we've never seen them here. He goes, but we have the little people. And the little people will do the exact same thing. So my theory to my buddy was this. If he'd walked in that forest, we would have never seen him again.
Yep.
And it makes me wonder if we would have never seen him again after that, how many people that go missing in the Missing 411 series that David Politis is looking at actually hear that voice and go in looking for it. Whether it's a child, whether it's somebody they know, or a voice they recognize. That's what's scary. That is what's really scary. Lex, what do you think?
That took a chord with me because I have a friend who I worked with before. It was very, very similar to what you have described. She disappeared. I remember this was like the week that Barry Bonds hit that 756th home run because I was on vacation and I got this text. And my friend, she just disappeared out of thin air, just jogging in the forest with a friend. And so I felt so bad for her friend because they thought there was some sort of foul play involved, but there wasn't any foul play at all. There was nothing happened, or there was nothing that was left behind. No clothes.
Has she been found?
No.
Oh,
not at all.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, God bless her. Hopefully she is found. Everyone, I have to get ready and say goodnight here to each and every one of you because we're going to wrap up the roundtable right about now. Lynn Wallington, Olaf Phillips, Ben from UFO Garage, Brian Bowden, Lex Tan from Ringside Heat on Saga 960. I want to say thank you for making this just a wonderful panel as we say goodbye to April and hello to May. And at the end of May, we will do this same roundtable, maybe a few different people, but we will do the same roundtable once again because we have a lot of fun with you guys and with our audience just breaking down the month that was. Thanks for a great Spaced Out radio show tonight, and we really do appreciate it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everybody in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and Derek and the Snarkettes leading the way on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us. Because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yeah, we've got room for them too. Good night.
Find inspiration in timeless stories of sacrifice and resilience. Find inspiration in little victories, in Herculean tasks, in facing trying times together and overcoming the odds as one. The National World War II Museum in New Orleans is now open so you can find inspiration in all of these places, and especially within yourself. Visit nationalww2museum.org for timed tickets and safety information.
I got my daughter's hair looking tight, so we hopped in the car and went to Mickey D's to celebrate. I did my thing with these braids meal.
There's a meal for every moment on the McDonald's $1, $2, $3 menu.
Enjoy a tasty McChicken biscuit or chicken McGriddles. Get two of the same or one of each for just $3. Prices and participation may vary. Single item at regular price cannot be combined with combo meal.